person with a power of attorney for an elderly resident.
The power attorney noticed that some things started missing from the house, one of them being a check. And then they started noticing credit card payments being made for various things that weren't done by them.
They're asking anyone who's had Powell in their home to contact the agency. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Our your weather for today. It's going to be cloudy, some scattered rain showers, a few thunderstorms possible late this afternoon with a high of 78. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast coming up at 12:05. The Pope's body is lying in state at the Vatican this noon ahead of his funeral Saturday. Terry Moran has more on who's expected to attend the service this weekend.
Leaders from around the world will be there, including President Trump and the First Lady, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and Prince William. The Pope's funeral on Saturday will begin with Mass at 10 a.m. local time in the square in front of St. Peter's Basilica, followed by a burial at the Basilica of St. Mary Major, a couple of miles away. The Pope breaking with tradition, asking to be buried, quote, in the earth, simple, without particular decoration.
And the Pope had a number of health issues over the years. He died Monday, nearly a month after being hospitalized for 38 days with double pneumonia. He was 88 years old. This just in, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin announcing that he will not seek re-election next year. The 80-year-old Durbin is the number 2 Democrat in the Senate in his 5th term. He is also the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. His departure puts more pressure on his party to regain the majority in the Senate. Since 1984, his seat has only been won by Republicans for full terms twice. In Cobb County, they've approved a new agreement with Flock Security to keep those license plate readers rolling.
The new agreement, approved unanimously by commissioners, will keep the more than 70 cameras up and running across the county. Earlier this month, Cobb Police Chief Stuart Van Hooser crediting the cameras with helping them improve their crime-fighting efforts.
We caught homicide perpetrators from Metro Atlanta. We seized guns we would never have seized, gang members we would never have taken into custody.
Information from the cameras is shared with the department's real-time crime center. The new agreement will cost the county $213,000. In Cobb County, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
Another deer here in our state has tested positive for chronic wasting disease. It's the second case confirmed in Georgia this year. Georgia wildlife officials saying the 4-year-old buck was discovered in Barron County, which is close to where the first one turned up back in January. The case was reported in neighboring Lanier County. Chronic wasting disease, also known as zombie deer disease, has been reported in 36 states. So far, there are no reported cases of humans contracting the disease. Do you have a sporting event with your kid this afternoon? Well, you're not alone. It's getting more expensive for parents to get their kids into youth sports these days.
The average family pays $3,000 each year on youth sports, according to a new survey from New York Life. Many parents say they're spending extra on skills training and travel, with the majority either reducing spending elsewhere to cover costs or being a part of fundraising or volunteering. It can also be time-consuming. While kids spend an average 15 hours each week on sports, almost all parents surveyed say they are very active in those endeavors. Many are in it for the long haul, too. A large majority believe their children have the talent to play college or pro sports in the future. Judd Hickenbotham, 95.5 WSB.
Are you stepping out for some fresh air on your lunch hour? Well, Atlanta gets an F in a new report on air quality from the American Lung Association. Georgia Lung Association's Dana Thompson says pollution impacts our health.
The data shows that these pollutants can cause premature death and other serious health effects such as asthma, heart attacks, and preterm births.
And the city ranks 3rd worst in the southeast for smog and 4th worst for particle pollution. Despite mortgage rates that refused to fall, new home sales rose again last month. Jim Ryan has a look at the numbers this noon.
Federal officials say 724,000 new homes were sold in March, up from 676,000 in February, and well above the figure from March of last year. And while mortgage rates remain stubbornly high, home prices fell by about $11,000 last month. The median sales price is around $403,000.
And as we take a look at the markets, we're in the green. The Dow's up 569 at 39,756. The Dow's up almost 1.5%. NASDAQ's up more than 2.5%. And the S&P is up almost 2%. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. We say happy lunch hour to Alex Williams.
Happy lunch hour, Sabrina. And if you're heading out to grab a bite to eat in Gwinnett County, heads up for this stall on 85 southbound in Duluth, right at Pleasant Hill Road, exit 104. It is in the left center lane, slowing you leaving Highway 316. Also a busy lunch hour spot in Buckhead, Roswell Road. And we have traffic lights flashing red in all direction. Roswell Road at Powers Ferry Road. Make sure you treat that as a 4-way stop. Elsewhere, we're seeing a few brake lights. 285 northbound, the inner loop on the west side. Just tapping them, though, as you leave South Cobb Drive up to I-75 there in the Truist Park area. And the 285 westbound also slowing a little bit, approaching I-75 coming out of Sandy Springs into Cobb. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Now your 5-day forecast brought to you by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
Mostly cloudy this afternoon, high 78. Pop-up showers and thunderstorms moving through the late afternoon and evening hours. Lows tonight in the low 60s. More scattered rain showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, high 77. Friday, mostly cloudy with hit or miss rain showers. Morning low 64, afternoon high 79. Starting to dry out on Saturday, though still mostly cloudy, high near 80. The sunshine returns on Sunday with highs in the upper 70s.
All right, we'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
All right, friends, it's the 5K Day Bonus Blitz. The noon keyword is Wednesday. WEDNESDAY, Wednesday. Enter Wednesday into the WSB Radio app or at WSBRadio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 p.m. to enter the keyword. Win $1,000. Again, the keyword on this Wednesday is Wednesday. Good luck.
Hello and welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States, and I am so delighted to have you with me today. The phone number, if you want to be on the program, 877-973-7425. If you text the word Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast, all that fantastic stuff. Very happy to have you on board and engaged with the program. Now, we got to get out of the gate here with the wild stuff that happened at the United States Supreme Court yesterday. I've got some audio from the justices in their arguments that you got to hear. I want to set the stage for you here. In Montgomery County, Maryland is a pretty progressive area. It is also home to several of the Supreme Court justices. It is their backyard. It is right up against Washington, D.C. It is a very well-to-do white progressive county. The white progressives in Montgomery County, Maryland, decided that the kindergarten and pre-K kids, the 4, 5, and actually the record shows down to 3 years old, so the kids who are aged 3 through 7 needed to learn about transgenderism, drag queens, BDSM, anal sex, and having gay parents and gay relations. Now, I want you to know two things. One, what I just told you, the left denies. Two, the books that were required reading do exactly those things. And then I'll add in a third. When Muslim parents in the community objected, they were compared to white supremacists and bigots. That's all in the court record. It's all in the court record. They had to learn about BDSM. They had to learn about drag queens. They had to learn about gays and lesbians. They had to learn about anal sex. They had to learn about gay relationships. 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. Not making that up. It's in the court record. You do not have to take my word for it. You can read the court record, and you will find that's there. And when the Muslim parents objected, not the white parents, not the Christian parents, the Muslim parents objected, the school system compared them to white supremacists and bigots. In Montgomery County, Maryland, your families are allowed to opt out of the sexual health and education program because of religious values. In fact, in Montgomery County, Maryland, you can opt out of most lessons. But this lesson, the parents were not allowed to opt out of the lesson. In fact, one of the reasons they weren't allowed to opt out of the lesson is because too many of them attempted to opt out of the lesson. So they weren't allowed. You can opt out of virtually everything in the classroom for religious objections except this. And so what they did to ensure that you could not opt out of it is they put it in the English language curriculum. They didn't put it in the sex curriculum, the health curriculum, the physical education curriculum, the science curriculum. They put it in the Learning to Read program for the kindergartners. So when they learned to read, they would be influenced by it. That is all in the record. And the case went to the United States Supreme Court. I want to start with the latest Democratic dimwit of the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who you need to understand is there not because she's smart, but because she's a black female. And that's Joe Biden's words. Don't hate me for saying she's there not because of her intellect, but because she's a black female. That's Joe Biden. That's why Joe Biden put her there. And I want to explain to you what you're about to hear. The families have asked that this program be paused before being implemented. And her argument, her pressure point to the families is that the parents aren't actually in the classroom. And since they're not actually in the classroom until the program begins, they can't actually see how the teachers use the materials. Never mind that there is a multi-page document telling the teachers how they have to use the curriculum. But for a woman who wants to give the American Civil Liberties Union injunctions against the Trump administration for things that haven't been implemented, and they're not in the room to see how they're going to be implemented. She doesn't want parents to have a similar power that the ACLU has against the Trump administration. Just listen to this.
But I need you to focus on my question. This is a preliminary injunction. I appreciate that. When you seek a preliminary injunction, you actually have to have a factual record that is the basis for the court to make a determination in your favor that some conduct that you're complaining about needs to be enjoined. And what's confusing to me and hard, really hard in this situation is that we have a lot of sincerely held beliefs and concerns and children and principles, and I see all of those things, and so really want to be careful about making the pronouncement that relates to this. I don't understand how we can do it on this record because we can't know. We don't at this moment, based on the record you've provided, know that these books aren't just sitting on the shelves. And you've said that if that's the case, that's not going to be enough.
I disagree, Your Honor. The record is undisputed. And I, again, will refer you to the district court transcript at 63. Where counsel
so you're saying the Fourth Circuit is wrong when it says, quote, we don't have any information about how any teacher or school employee has actually used any of the books.
The Court of Appeals did not dispute that some of the books have to be used, and we have all of the
I
teachers'
understand that.
instruction the board's not disputed.
I understand that, but the Fourth Circuit made a ruling that we don't know, quote, what any child has been taught in conjunction with their use. So are you saying that you do have affidavits and information about teachers in the classroom and what they've taught children of different ages about these books?
Yes, we do. All of our clients have, in their declarations, they describe which books are going to be read to their children.
Were the clients in the classroom?
They were not in the classroom, but they know. And again, we don't have to wait until the injury has happened to get relief. The point of a preliminary injunction is that we can, when the injury is imminent, we can seek relief.
All right, let me ask you.
Were they in the classroom? Were they in the classroom? Now, let's turn to Brett Kavanaugh, whose children go to public schools in Montgomery County, Maryland.
In the country has opt-outs for all sorts of things. The county has opt-outs for all sorts of things. The other Maryland counties have opt-outs for all sorts of things. And yet for this one thing, they changed in mid-year and say no more opt-outs. I'm just not understanding feasibility.
So again, I think what's in the record is that with respect to these books as they were deployed in the classroom, there was high absenteeism in some schools. For example, dozens of students being opted out in, I think Mr. Baxter said the average size of an elementary school in Montgomery County is 700 students. So each grade is 125. If you have dozens of students walking out, making arrangements for those students to have adequate space and supervision and alternative instruction, I think is infeasible.
But they do it for all sorts of other opt-outs.
They don't do it for all sorts of other opt-outs. There's a limited universe of things that students can opt out from. The Family Life and Healthy Sexuality curriculum stands alone. It is mandated by the state. It is something where you are able to predict precisely when the curriculum is going to be deployed. There's
It's the most similar substantively to what we have here, and there's an opt-out allowed there. I guess I'm not understanding why Montgomery County School Board stands alone, I think, in the country. You can tell me if there's another school board that's done something like this.
I apologize.
Both the kind of books that are being used and prohibiting opt-outs. And I guess I'm just not understanding. The whole goal, I think, of some of our religion precedents is to look for the win-win, to look for the situation where you can respect the religious beliefs and accommodate the religious beliefs while the state or city or whatever it may be can pursue its goals. And here, they're not asking you to change what's taught in the classroom. They're not asking you to change that at all. A lot of the rhetoric suggests that they might have, that they were trying to do that, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're only seeking to be able to walk out so that they don't have to, the parents don't have their children exposed to these things that are contrary to their own beliefs.
I understand, Your Honor, and there may well be circumstances where a school can,
You hear this? They wouldn't allow the parents to allow their kids to opt out of this one thing, wanting to teach pre-kindergartners about sex and sexuality. They were radicalized essentially by the efforts of Florida going in the opposite direction. And in Montgomery County, Maryland, the white progressives decided they had to do this. And you need to understand, it's a religious context. It is a religious belief on their part. And they say, well, no, this is secular. No, it's actually a religious dogma. You insist that the kids of competing religions have to learn about your religion. It's like when I grew up overseas, I was required to take a class. In my American school, we were required to have that school there. You had to have an Arabic culture class where you learned about and understood Islam. It's the same here. The secularists demand that you learn about sexual proclivities of the LGBTQ community because it is religious dogma for secularists. Now, this is the wildest one. This is Justice Gorsuch. You're going to hear Amy Coney Barrett chime in on here. Amy Coney Barrett, a mother from Indiana whose kids now are in school up there. And you got to understand, these people have read the books. Amy Coney Barrett has read the book. Neil Gorsuch has read the book. Brett Kavanaugh has read. I don't know that Ketanji Brown Jackson actually bothered to read the books, but these conservative justices read the books because all their kids go to school in this community. You need to understand that their kids are in the schools in this area. They live in this area. Listen to this wild exchange.
What age do you, in Montgomery County, teach students normally about human sexuality?
I think that it begins in either 4th or 5th grade.
The human sexuality class.
The family life and human sexuality curriculum.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
Starts in 4th or 5th grade, you think?
So.
Is there anything you can point us to in the record on that?
I don't think so.
Okay. And second, these books are being used in English class.
The division between English class and other things in a 2nd grade classroom doesn't really exist. You're sort of in a room with a teacher and sometimes...
No, I appreciate that. I went to 2nd grade too.
Yeah.
But it's part of the English curriculum that these books are being used in. I thought that was...
Yeah, I'm not fighting the premise. I'm just saying that
it's not the math class.
It is not.
It's not the human sexuality class.
It is certainly not the human sexuality class.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of fighting the premise that there's a neat distinction.
Okay, and they're being used in English language instruction at age 3. Some of them.
So Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten curriculum. That's no longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather...
Sex worker, right?
No, that's not correct. No.
I thought, gosh, I read it.
It's a drag queen.
Drag queen and drag
correct.
queen.
The leather that they're pointing to is a woman in a leather jacket, and one of the words is drag queen in the search.
And they're supposed to look for those.
It is an option at the end of the book, correct?
Yeah, okay. And you've included these in the English language curriculum rather than the human sexuality curriculum to influence students. Is that fair? That's what the district court found.
I think to the extent the district court found that it was to influence them towards civility. The natural consequence of being exposed.
Whatever, but to influence them.
In the manner that I just mentioned, yes.
Okay. And responding to parents who are concerned, you agree that there was some intemperate language used?
I don't know that those were responding to parents who were concerned. This was after the fact for most of these comments. And this was in a very public setting, which obviously got heated, and some intemperate comments were used, certainly.
Yeah. And I wanted to understand your context that you were giving about the statement that some Muslim families, it's unfortunate that this issue puts some Muslim families on the same side of an issue as white supremacists and outright bigots. I think in response to Justice Sotomayor, you're trying to give some context to that?
I don't think I was speaking directly about that comment. I think that comment was given or was made in June, which was several months after the decision to withdraw the opt-outs was made. I don't have context for that statement, no.
Okay. And then the legal question. Why isn't discrimination against religion a burden on religion? If a state, now this is hypothetical, not moving away from the record, if state actors intentionally discriminate against religion, what secular purpose, valid secular purpose, could that serve? And how wouldn't that be a burden?
So I don't know. I mean, it depends on the hypothetical, what the state is doing and whether there's a secular purpose. That's hard to imagine one. But if the state is discriminating
against Muslims or Catholics or Protestants or whatever.
I think this court has recognized that when an enactment that discriminates on its face, or has recognized with respect to an enactment that discriminates on its face, it is intrinsically coercive. That's how the court has performed the burden inquiry. If you are privileging one religion over another, you are coercing people to subscribe to that particular set of beliefs in order to get...
So that's a burden?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, trying to influence people, let me give you, let's just take Pride Puppy. Pride Puppy by Robin Stevenson and Julie McLaughlin. Pride Puppy features kids on the way to a pride parade with drag queens, a dude who is bearded but also looks to be a trans man with a baby, drag queens, trans flags, pride flags, all of that. And A is for awake animals and all. And what you see is a child on the bed with the child's two mothers in bed behind her. And they have a, looks like Hispanic baby and a black baby. The one mom is Latino looking. The other mom is black. There's no man in the scene. A is for all except men, apparently. And then here are the search and find words. Things like drag king, feather boa. This is what the white progressives wanted the Muslim parents' kids to go through. The Supreme Court's probably going to say no.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1223 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Hero blocked and reopened all lanes in Duluth. Got that stall off to the right, 85 southbound Pleasant Hill Road, exit number 104. Heads up in Buckhead, still watching the traffic lights flashing red in all directions on Roswell Road at Powers Ferry Road. That's really made a mess of Roswell Road in both directions, also impacting Piedmont Road. Trying to leave Lennox Road to get up there to Roswell Road, so just be mindful of that. Traffic brought to you by Lear Capital. Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at betternestegg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
All right, friends, it's the 5K Day Bonus Blitz. The noon keyword is Wednesday. WEDNESDAY, Wednesday. Enter Wednesday to the WSB Radio app or at WSBRadio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 p.m. to enter the keyword. Win $1,000. Again, the keyword on this Wednesday is Wednesday. Good luck.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
This is Scott Slade, and this is my health story. I get a checkup every year. In last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number of my lab work. I'll never forget his words. I want somebody looking over my shoulder on this. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options and optimism for a good outcome. When we're talking about our health, we shouldn't be shy. I think it's important to talk about what can kill you or rob you of your quality of life. Heart disease is still the nation's #1 killer. And what I think should be right up there with it, procrastination. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often to spot problems while we still have options to deal with them. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation, like flying in an airplane. They can detect calcium levels in your arteries and most cancers at the earliest stage. And virtual imaging can scan your brain to see if you're in danger of a tumor, stroke, or even dementia. I am living proof that preventive medicine can save lives. So don't put this off, especially with this offer from Virtual Imaging. For a limited time, they're offering you and your spouse a free heart scan. Yes, free, with a few minimum requirements. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now, while you still have options.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Hey, it's Scott Slade for FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, cedar roofs, FGA has them all. FGA Roofing offers 0% financing for 12 months with your good credit. Get the roof you want now and pay over time. Click firstgaroof.com. That's firstgaroof.com.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
I blamed the justices of the United States Supreme Court. I went super long in that last segment, the pride puppy, but it's just so bizarre that these people, it's a religion to them. It is absolutely a religion that they are trying to impose on everyone else. More on this when we come back, some wild details. But first, I got to tell you about my bank, Old Glory Bank. They are family-friendly, they're conservative-friendly, they are first responder-friendly. In fact, they have great deals. If you're a first responder and you're looking for a bank, Old Glory Bank might be a great fit for you. They really love to work with first responders. Reach out to them, oldglorybank.com. They literally are my bank. I have used them now. I've been a customer for 2 years. Actually, sought out their advertising because I wanted to tell people about them, how great they are. They may be an online bank, but I can even deposit cash, which I couldn't do at my old online bank. I was hesitant to get into the online bank market. I did, and I was like, you mean I can't deposit cash? And then I discovered Old Glory Bank, and you can deposit cash there. You can get home loans. You can get car loans. You can get lines of credit. You can get CDs. They've got great interest rates. They're great for businesses, too. If you're a business and you want a very hands-on bank that wants to build a relationship with you, reach out to Old Glory Bank, oldglorybank.com. Fill out the account information right there, oldglorybank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply, and they really are my bank.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. This is new this half hour. A mother has pleaded guilty in the death of her 7-year-old daughter nearly 2 years ago in DeKalb County. Alondra Hobbs entering the plea today. Her attorney says Hobbs is now ready to admit to this horrific crime.
She does not want me to make excuses for what she's done. She does not want a trial. She wants to take responsibility.
Now, a judge sentenced Hobbs to life without the possibility for parole. She killed her daughter and left her body in a closet for months. Your weather for today: cloudy, scattered rain showers, a few thunderstorms late this afternoon with a high of 78. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. A Stone Mountain woman lands behind bars in Gwinnett County in an elder fraud case, and police believe more victims are out there. Captain Robert Thompson with Suwannee Police says 24-year-old Brianna Michelle Powell accused of taking about $20,000 from 4 different victims.
Miss Powell had been an in-home caregiver, kind of like help with household chores, cooking, that kind of stuff.
And police found out about the alleged crimes after an elderly woman was hit with fraudulent credit card charges and then noticed some checks missing from her home. Police want anyone who may have had Powell in their home to contact them. A woman and a toddler are injured after a train collides with a vehicle in DeKalb County. This happened last night at a crossing in the 1100 block of South Stone Mountain Lithonia Road. The 2 victims in that car rushed to the hospital with injuries, moderate injuries. DeKalb police investigating the crash now. And Walmart announcing it plans to renovate 20 stores in Georgia by the end of the year, including 4 locations in metro Atlanta. The so-called Stores of the Future will include the Marietta location on Austell Road, Snellville store on Scenic Highway, the Pavilion Parkway location in Fayetteville, and the store on Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville. Walmart says the stores will include a new look, more selection, and expanded online pickup and delivery areas. As we take a look at the markets, we're in the green. The Dow is up more than a full percent. NASDAQ's up more than 2.5%, and the S&P is up almost 2%. It's 12:32.
Termites, like me, eat 24/7, and your home is in their path of destruction. Mark Aram here for Breda Pest Management. You want a complete barrier from Breda, not just a bait station. If your current service only inspects the outside, how do you know the inside of your home's termite-free? Breda is better at beating termites. Only Breda inspects and protects the outside and inside. Plus, your termite rate is locked in for 10 years.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Welcome to Window Wisdom with North Georgia Replacement Windows. We are here with the owners and experts, Ted Kirk and Jonathan Cullum. Tell me, Ted, why do you think buying new windows and doors can be so confusing and a difficult process for people?
We've been asking ourselves that question for years. That's why we make window and door shopping simple. Most companies offer vinyl windows disguised by terms like composite and PVC. They do this because vinyl windows do not hold up in our harsh Georgia climate. Their windows just can't compete with the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows, so they just confuse people by saying things like vinyl composite when it's just another vinyl window.
So obviously you do not recommend any type of vinyl window. Can you share a better option with us?
Well, Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows are beautiful, not big and bulky like vinyl composite windows. The fiberglass will hold up to the weather and won't lose their energy efficiency over time. Infinity fiberglass windows are 8 times stronger and expand 87% less than vinyl composite windows.
So Ted, tell me what's the big difference? What can I expect when I install a better quality window like Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows?
You will brighten your home with more daylight and bigger views. Our windows also improve your home's energy efficiency, your family's comfort, and the curb appeal. We've had many customers use us on multiple homes because of their experience and for the strong resale value.
Okay, all this sounds really good. So where can we check out the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass products?
You can only experience the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass difference with North Georgia Replacement Windows at your home or in our new Alpharetta showroom.
Right now at North Georgia Replacement Windows, 18% off all windows, 23% off doors, plus up to 18 months no interest, no payments. All the details at ngwindows.com. ngwindows.com.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
Alex Williams with a quick look at the roads.
Couple of crashes downtown, one off to the right, or one off to the left, 85 south before 17th Street, then another one past 17th Street on the left. Traffic lights still flashing red in Buckhead, Roswell Road at Powers Ferry Road. And Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms later this afternoon, high 78.
More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. I am delighted to have you with me. Save your phone calls, though, for a little bit, because I gotta talk to you. And my apologies for that last segment being so long. I was just, I had not, before the show opened, Pride Puppy, and I started looking at it. It's the most demented thing. Total indoctrination. I want to talk about radicalism for just a few moments. Pastor Tim Keller, before he died, he actually would reach out to me on occasion and ask me to pray for certain people. And before he died, he called, and it was our last conversation, and he had a list of mutual friends that he wanted me to pray for, and just to keep praying for them after he was gone. And we had a couple of conversations related to this topic, and for a couple of people that he asked me to pray for, who I would say they were better friends of his than I was friends with him. They interact with him on a much more regular basis. But we shared a concern, and he very much had it, that given the political climate of the day, that his concern was that a couple of these people were allowing their critics and the people who hated them to radicalize them. And it is a real danger that someone hates you so much, is so nasty to you, is awful to you, is regularly hostile to you, that their hatred of you begins to radicalize you, and you begin to change your views and values because of the hostility of other people. And you can understand how easy this can be to do when you see a bunch of people who are treating you horribly, even though you otherwise generally agree with them on stuff. And you think, well, if they agree with this stuff, maybe this stuff is wrong. Maybe if these are the people who claim to be standard bearers for these things I believe must be wrong. And you allow people, and don't say this can't happen to you. I see it happen all the time in politics, where I see liberals becoming conservative because they're not woke enough. I see conservatives becoming liberals because they're not woke enough. Woke right and woke left. And in my conversations with Tim, it was a couple of people who they were conservatives, but the Trump supporters treated them so horribly, so nasty, that they were letting the hatred of their critics radicalize them against their critics. And it had everything to do with how people were treating them that was changing their minds. And we see this more and more in society today, where people they will change their views based on who's on the other side. Jennifer Rubin, the dimwit who used to be at the Washington Post, is one of the best examples of this. Jennifer Rubin she tried to get me fired when I was at CNN because I explained one time, when she's very hard to pin down on issues, I said, you got to think of her more as Likud. And this was a friend of mine who is Jewish. Then Jennifer Rubin is Jewish. He pointed this out, that her views align way more with Israeli politics at the time, And if you want to understand her, you need to understand that view. She's very socially liberal, but she's very pro-Israel, very defensive of Israel, and aligned with the Republican Party over Israeli and Jewish issues. Until Donald Trump became president, Jen Rubin had for a long time advocated moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And the moment Donald Trump was the one who did it, Jennifer Rubin, surprise, was opposed to it. And essentially over her entire career, every position she staked out in bright lines, if Donald Trump sided with her on the issue, she rejected it. She was radicalized by her critics. She was radicalized by the other side. She allowed the other side to stake out positions, and she then went in the opposite direction. She didn't like them, therefore she couldn't take that position. A strongly held position she had for years, moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. Donald Trump actually gets done what she wants done. She's like, this is a terrible idea. We should never move the American embassy to Jerusalem. And that's kind of a defining hallmark of Jennifer Rubin's career is where Republicans are now is where she had been, but because they're there now, she's on the opposite side. You see this all the time. Think about Drag Queen Story Hour. Conservatives raised a fuss about certain urban areas of the country having drag queens go into libraries and do book time with kids. They found it odd. They found it offensive. That they found it to be subtle indoctrination. They opposed it. So what did the left do? They mandated it. In certain parts of the country, it was expected. Schools were bringing in drag queens. Why? Because if conservatives didn't like it, they needed to do it. That's what happened in Montgomery County, Maryland. They allowed conservatives to radicalize them. Ron DeSantis in Florida passed legislation that said we're not going to teach kids about sex until 4th grade. The left defined it as the Don't Say Gay legislation, which wasn't true. To this day, there are progressives who are dogmatically convinced that the legislation was called the Don't Say Gay bill, or that, in fact, you couldn't talk about gays in kindergarten, which is explicitly not true. The legislation was designed so no sex ed in kindergarten because there were progressive teachers who support trans values who insisted, I've got to teach the kids about this stuff. So they said, no, you can't do it. And the left, the media itself, grossly mischaracterizing the legislation that's been upheld by federal courts, by the way. In fact, it was so interesting to watch on television the legal scholars that were trotted on CNN. It's like, there's no way they'll allow this. This is content discrimination. They can't do this. And the court's like, yeah, you're not supposed to be teaching kindergartners sex anyway. You're teaching them reading and how to count, not sex. But Montgomery County, Maryland responded to these efforts in conservative states, particularly Florida, by saying, you know what, we're going to sexualize the hell out of kids. We're going to teach them about drag queens and BDSM and anal sex in pre-K. We're going to introduce them to the concepts of the trans community so that it becomes normalized for them. And in fact, you have a lawyer before the Supreme Court yesterday who admitted it was to influence the kids in what? A version of religion. Let's be real clear here. The alphabet gang amounts to a religious view. Natural selection, evolution, biology, Christianity all say we're male, we're female, and you can't change. It is a by-faith belief of secularists now that, yes, you can. There's no science to back it up, but they claim it is so. And they have taken their by-faith belief and they use it as secularism and say secularism isn't a religion, even though it is, and they're going to impose it on the kids. And so they want the Muslim kids whose parents believe Genesis, that God created male and female, made them male and female. And they're going to say, no, some people who are born male are actually female. And they're going to start this at an early age. They're going to introduce them to bondage, normalizing deviancy, normalizing bondage, normalizing drag queens, normalizing a host of things that Muslim families are offended by. And when the Muslim parents objected, they lumped them in with the white supremacists and the bigots, which are the Christians in Montgomery County, Maryland. The Christians were called the white supremacists and bigots, and they were opposed. The Montgomery County School Board was to the Muslim parents siding with the Christians. But it's not just being radicalized by where the right is on that issue, it's another issue as well. Immigration. Barack Obama actually repeatedly deported illegal aliens. But when Donald Trump became president and ramped up the effort to deport illegal aliens, the Democrats suddenly went all in on illegal aliens because they were radicalized by the right's position. Whatever the right's position was, they had to stake out the exact opposite position. And so here comes the right and says no to illegal immigration, and the left's like, hey, we're going to go get an MS-13 gangbanger out of El Salvador and bring him back here. Bill Malugin from Fox News, let me just read you this. This is in the show notes today. If you text data to 33777, you can get this. This is his exclusive at Fox News. The families of two teens killed by an illegal alien who crashed into them while drunk, high, and speeding at 100 miles an hour in Orange County in 2021 have been told by the state of California that their killer will be released from prison early in July, 3.5 years into a 10-year sentence for killing the teens who both burned alive in their vehicle. Oscar Eduardo Ortega Anguiano, a twice-deported Mexican illegal alien, had a lengthy rap sheet prior to killing 19-year-olds Anya Varfolomev and Nikolai Osikin in the DUI crash on the 405 freeway in Seal Beach in November 2021. Both were U.S. citizens they were dating. Ortega Anguiano had several felony convictions, had gone to state prison, had multiple convictions for driving without a license, and was still on the streets when he crashed into the teen's vehicle. In spring of 2022, Ortega Anguiano was convicted in Orange County of 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated for killing the teens, and a judge sentenced him to serve a 10-year prison sentence for each count, but concurrently, meaning he'd serve both 10-year sentences at the same time. The victims' families felt that was already a weak sentence, but they tell me they were notified by the California Department of Corrections on Easter Sunday that the illegal alien is scheduled for early release July 19th, only a little more than 3 years into a sentence, leaving the victims' families shocked and outraged. The California Department of Corrections wouldn't confirm the release date, saying they cannot provide information on an incarcerated person's release date or location in advance of their release, and they added that incarcerated persons may earn credits for participating in rehabilitative programming. ICE is confirming to Fox News they have placed a detainer on the man with the California Department of Corrections and intend to take him into custody upon his release. They hope the California Department of Corrections will honor the detainer request and transfer him to their custody, but the families fear that they're going to let him go. Now, there's breaking news happening right now as I'm talking to you. The U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles has announced that he's charging this illegal alien with felony reentry and is going to seek to imprison him for up to 20 years once California releases him, to try to keep him in prison. But think about this. The state of California is so radicalized at the political level by the rights in opposition to illegal immigration that they've treated an illegal alien with kid gloves so often, despite multiple felony convictions, he was able to kill 2 teens in a car wreck. They burned alive in their car. They couldn't get out of the car. And they're letting him out of prison after 3.5 years. Y'all, this is an abomination of justice, and they have been radicalized by the right. They're not doing their own critical thinking. They're doing it because people on the right say one thing is bad, and therefore it must be good to them. People on the right are doing this as well, being radicalized by the other side. This is a postmodern phenomenon. You see, when we break down what the truth is, and you have your truth and I have my truth, we can define our truths by what the people we disagree with believe is true. And we can essentially give to them, outsource to them our critical thinking. So if they define something, we can go the opposite direction. It happens on both sides. But it's sad to me as a society for us to be at a point where when a political party, when a tribe takes out a position, the people opposite say, well, I must take the opposite position, even if that opposite position is a moral abomination. And here we have multiple cases where the left has staked out positions that put them not just opposite the GOP, but opposite normal thinking Americans who do not think their pre-kindergarten child who's 3 years old needs to learn about BDSM, and opposite the families of victims of a criminal. This is how broken our society is. And again, at the bottom of this is a spiritual crisis. It's not a political crisis. It is a spiritual crisis where when you do not grasp the truth and you can have your truth can shift and be shaped by people on the other side.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Erick Erickson Show.
1250 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Picking up some brake lights on 400 southbound in Buckhead between Lennox Road and Sydney Markets. Might have had some trouble just clear there. Elsewhere, better news. Those traffic lights that were flashing red on Roswell Road at Powers Ferry Road in Buckhead, they have been fixed. Crash moved off to the right, held all lanes to do so. 7585 south below 17th Street. Everything's back open there. Checking on a little bit of a slow zone into Cobb County in the work zone. 20 westbound between Panola Road and Wesley Chapel. Traffic brought to you by Macy's Backstage. What will you find at Macy's Backstage? How about fun Mother's Day gifts? Get lower prices every day on unique finds before they're gone. Find a location near you at Macy'sBackstage.com. Off price, on trend, arriving daily. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Sad news for Catholics around the world.
Pope Francis has died at the age of 88.
For the latest on his passing,
we will have in-depth team coverage of the death of Pope Francis.
And what happens next.
Still waiting for the smoke to rise up, as is the tradition from the Vatican itself.
Listen throughout the day to 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
Breda knows how critical it is to protect the inside of your home, not just the outside, against bugs and critters. Termites, the most destructive pest of all. They literally eat your house. Hey, it's Mark Aram here for Breda Pest Management. I bet your termite company just walks around outside, checks bait stations, and says, hey, you're termite free. But are you? How can they claim that when they haven't even inspected inside? Only Breda protects your home from termites with a complete liquid barrier system, not just those bait stations. And only Breda's early detection process will thoroughly inspect your entire home with advanced infrared cameras. Wow. Breda is so confident they guarantee your protection and will lock in your termite rate for 10 years. Breda Pest Management, they handle bugs and critters like termites. Get started at BREDApest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, to discuss one of the biggest blind spots that people face when saving for retirement, and it's a head-scratcher. Chris, how do so many people not know what they're invested in?
That's the biggest flaw that everybody runs into. They think they know what equities they have, they think they know what bonds they have, but they really don't know how those mutual funds or how those index funds are performing in conjunction with one another. So, I would liken this to a big pot of soup, and we're just throwing all the ingredients in the refrigerator in this thing. It's not very good. It's just a mishmash of stuff. And sometimes you like the way it tastes. Sometimes you don't. And when you don't know why. You don't know if you got too much chicken in there or too much vegetables in there or what's going on. And I ask every caller that comes in for an initial consultation, do you know how your portfolio is broken down? And they say, well, I've got, 20 or so options in my 401k, and I just picked 2 of them or 3 of them. I thought I needed some international. I thought I needed some U.S. equities. I thought I needed some bonds. And they're just guessing. So you have to absolutely know what you're invested in, and that's where we will run the 401k portfolio x-ray for you, because that'll break it down. If you're not proficient at investing and don't understand this world, we will walk you through it. not knowing what you're invested in is a big hindrance to growing and protecting your money. We will run a portfolio x-ray for you and educate you on exactly what's in your portfolio.
Set up a time to get your complimentary portfolio x-ray today. Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858. That's 404-737-3858, or book online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You may not agree with him, but he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
This hour of the program is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. With so many people nationwide now having listened to the show, we're over 70 stations now. Let me just tell all of you again, First Liberty Building and Loan, they're in Noonan, Georgia. And the coolest thing about First Liberty Building and Loan is that they help businesses in all 50 states. And they help them where a lot of lenders don't. And the Frost family's been doing this since the 90s, and they're still there. So one of my frustrations with a lot of banks is you go to the bank, you're dealing with a guy, and like 3 weeks later, there's somebody new there. You got to start all over again. Not with First Liberty. If you're in the business to business, your business needs access to capital, you see opportunities where your current lender may not, reach out to them. FirstLibertyGA.com. Tell them Eric sent you. See if they can work with you. They may not be a good fit for you, but give it a try. If you're in business and you need access to like $250,000 or more, FirstLibertyGA.com. Now, let me see. I want to squeeze in a phone call here. And first, let's go to Steve in Jacksonville. Welcome.
Hey, Eric. Steve here. I've got a question for you. I was listening to your segment on this illegal that California wants to go ahead and release early. And I guess I just want to understand, why can't the federal government step in and, no pun intended here, but trump what they're doing and grab a hold of this guy? Because I heard you say that ICE may or may not be able to get a hold of him because of what California may do.
It's a federalism issue because he's in state jail, in state custody for state crimes. The feds do not have a way then to come in and say, you have to hand him over to the federal government for us to try him and house him elsewhere, because typically what happens is the federal government holds these people for trial inside a state facility anyway. They contract with the states. So it becomes a very convoluted affair. So what they will do, though, is since they're charging him with the crime, California, it's no longer a matter of they may or may not hand him over to ICE. Because they are charging with a crime for prosecution, they now have to hand him over to the federal government once he's done with his prison sentence. When they intend to release him, they're now going to have to do it. It's optional for them to work with ICE, but when he's charged with a crime by the feds, they don't really have the option. Now they're going to have to do this, which is one reason the federal prosecutor there has decided to charge him with the crime. So they're not going to be able to say, oops, our bad, we let him go. They're going to have to comply now with it. But yeah,
that's good to know.
Yeah, it's all a matter of federalism, Steve. It's a quirk in the Constitution. You know, you can be charged with murder for the same crime at the federal level and the state level. The feds don't actually have murder charge per se, but they'll find a way to get you. And you can be charged and tried in federal court and state court for the same incident. It's different crimes. And you're allowed to do that because it's two separate judicial systems and it's not double jeopardy. They typically don't do it, but in some cases they will. Now, when we come back, I'll take your phone calls, 877-973-7425. But I got to tell you, wild situations shaping up at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The Biden administration behaved like the Nazis they're warning us about. They literally went after a business because they were upset. It turns out from the released now revealed emails of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they went after a business because they didn't like the way the owner of the company was talking about them on a radio program. They trumped up charges and engaged in a witch hunt, forced the company to settle with them. And now, under the Trump administration, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is coming in and saying, hey, we would like to undo this. It wasn't right. Based on the emails we found, this really was a witch hunt. I bet you're not going to hear a lot about this in the mainstream media, but you will hear about it from me. The details will blow your mind. And for everybody who says that these are the fascists in the Trump administration, well, Let's examine the record of the fascists in the Biden administration when we come back, right here nationwide, The Eric Erickson Show.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Window Nation. Suwannee police issuing a public warning today after a caretaker steals thousands of dollars from multiple elderly victims in the metro.
There are at least 4 victims right now, and there are likely more. Suwannee Police Captain Robert Thompson says 24-year-old Brianna Michelle Powell faces a list of charges for allegedly taking about $20,000 from the victims.
Right now, we're just trying to find if there's anybody out there that may have had Miss Powell working in their home, and they feel like that they may have been defrauded by her.
He says none of the victims realized they had been victimized. That includes stolen checks and fraudulent charges on their credit cards. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms late this afternoon with a high of 78, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. In DeKalb County, a mother pleads guilty to killing her 7-year-old daughter nearly 2 years ago and then stuffing her body in a closet for months. Alondra Hobbs entering the guilty plea today, a judge sentencing her to life without the possibility of parole. Thousands of people are waiting to pay their respects to Pope Francis, whose body is now lying in state at St. Peter's Basilica after a solemn ceremony this morning. Alex Lendrix of Atlanta was among the first to get a chance to say a personal goodbye.
There's kind of just a mixture of emotions. I mean, I'm anxious a lot walking in. It's such a surreal place, and it's very holy, and seeing the body and just remembering everything that he stood for is very important.
Now, the public viewing lasts for 3 days until Saturday's funeral, which is expected to draw at least 250,000 people. The 88-year-old Pope died Monday of a stroke and heart failure. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin retiring from Congress, the Democrat announcing today that he will not seek re-election next year.
The decision of whether to run for re-election has not been easy. I truly love the job of being United States Senator. But in my heart, I know it's time to pass the torch.
Durbin currently serves as the Senate Minority Whip and is ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. He was elected in 1996 and is one of the most senior members of the Senate. Durbin also represented Illinois in the House for 14 years. And Walmart's getting some upgrades.
Calling them the stores of the future, Walmart's remodeled locations will feature fresh displays, wider product selection, expanded online pickup and delivery, and new pharmacy services.
When we go in and we're doing a remodel and we're investing in a store, I love to see the impact that it has on the community.
Johnny Sartain says the changes will be in place by the end of 2025. The Metro Atlanta stores slated for updates include locations in Marietta, Snellville, and Fayetteville. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
It's 102.
Your deck is more than just a place to flip a burger or have a cup of coffee. It gathers your friends and family on all your favorite occasions and is there to enjoy every day. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors, and we build beautiful, high-quality decks at a reasonable price. We're licensed and insured, provide exceptional customer service, design help, and we'll work with the materials you want. Strength, durability, beauty. Decks done differently. Built by Nelson Exteriors. Get your free estimate. Google Nelson Exteriors.
Hey, it's your buddy Shelley Winter here, co-host of The Car Guys with my good friend and brother, Kevin Deutsch, from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Whatever you want to know about buying, selling, leasing, or maintaining a vehicle, Kevin has your answers.
That's right, Shelley. For over 40 years, I've sold, leased, fixed, and financed pretty much every make and model. I've seen it all. If you have any car questions, we'll have the answers every Saturday at noon.
It's The Car Guys, Saturdays at noon on 95.5 WSB, brought to you by Butler Lexus of South Atlanta.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business, powering possibilities.
Now through May 4th, new customers can get started with 300 megabit internet and Security Edge for $69 a month for 24 months. And ask how to get free installation on qualifying bundles. Plus, find out how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment and paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After 24 months, regular rates apply.
Guys, if you're having ED or performance issues and Viagra and Cialis haven't worked, you need to come see Choice Men's Health. Give us a call or visit us online at choicemenshealth.com. Get your love life back and choose Choice Men's Health.
That spot on the ceiling, it's only gonna get worse. Hey, it's Dave Baker from my experts at Findlay Roofing, the roof guys. Findlay now has 0% financing available, so it's even easier to get your roof replaced. FindlayRoofing.com. Roof.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Still watching some brake lights in Buckhead on 400 southbound leaving Lennox Road. We've had a crash south of Lennox Road, south of those financial center tunnels. That has been causing those delays. Once you get past that, you'll stay on and off the brakes through Midtown and downtown. Found a crash in the Peachtree Corners area, Jimmy Carter Boulevard, almost right under Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, Highway 141, kind of in that intersection there. Police just getting on scene. Definitely slowing Jimmy Carter Boulevard eastbound as you leave Holcomb Bridge Road. And on the West Freeway, I-20 eastbound, seeing a few brake lights from Riverside Parkway over to 285, the West Side Perimeter. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Epwards. Mostly cloudy through the afternoon, high 78. Scattered rain showers and thunderstorms continue through this evening, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, cloudy skies with pop-up showers and thunderstorms, high 77. This pattern continues through Friday.
76 degrees in Woodstock. It's 77 in Clarkston, and Fairburn has 77 degrees. More news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. Stand by on the phones here. I got some breaking news I've got to bring you right now before I actually get into what I wanted to talk about. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has said that the president intends to reduce the tariff on China before talks with China commence. The president will go first before the Chinese do anything to show good faith on our part. The markets are rallying. The Dow up 625, S&P up 114. In other words, the Dow's up 1.6%, S&P up 2%. NASDAQ up 3%, which is great, and the bond yield is falling, which is good. So also the president says he has no intention of altering automotive tariffs at the moment, will reconsider it, but is not going to change them at the moment. Auto stock's not doing well right now. Additionally, the president yesterday took my advice. I've been telling you all since last week you needed to do this. He did it yesterday. He made clear he has no intention of firing Jerome Powell. The Wall Street Journal has a big story about it right now, saying that the president has been so antagonistic towards Powell that people in the White House started researching ousting Powell. Kevin Hassett made it known on television they were looking at this, and the president yesterday felt like he needed to step in to calm the markets after Monday's plunge. To reiterate, he has no intention of firing Jerome Powell. He just wishes they would cut interest rates, and that may come if there's a recession. They're waiting on more inflation data. But that's the big news right now. It's happening right now. Scott Bessent is publicly now saying that the president will go first on reducing tariffs on China so that we can have conversations with China about an overall trade restructuring. And that has now set the markets. They were higher, they fell, now they're soaring again with Scott Bessent's remarks that happened in just the last 15 minutes or so. Big news there, affects all of us one way or another. Now, I want to get into this story. This is a very wild story. One of my frustrations, I get really frustrated by progressives insisting the Trump administration is totalitarian or authoritarian because they do everything they can to justify their own positions. They do everything they can to turn a blind eye to or excuse the bad behaviors on their side. And this is wild to me that this situation has happened. And the most interesting part of it to me is that it started in the Trump administration, the first Trump administration. But then it escalated in the Biden administration. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is admitting it targeted a small lending company for its political speech, not for discrimination. Now, this is a lawyer. Her name is Anastasia. She is a lawyer. She's been looking over the filings that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has filed in court now. Back in 2017, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau went after a small mortgage company, Townstone Financial, under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, which bans discrimination in lending, and they found no evidence of actual discrimination. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau had no evidence that anyone had complained or that anyone had been denied a loan based on race or that anyone had been deterred from applying for a loan. So the case wound its way through an investigation. The Trump administration couldn't find anything wrong. It transitions to the Biden administration. And the Biden administration heard the CEO of the company on radio criticizing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And the CFPB decided to scour 78.5 hours of the company's broadcasts on radio and zeroed in on 16 minutes of content that they found disconcerting because it was critical of the CFPB and government overreach, and made comments about opposing the looting during the George Floyd riots that the CFPB found insensitive. So they sued. During the suit, the CFPB tried to make the owner turn over, quote, this is from the discovery request, all communications with his friends, family, and associates that touched on racial, religious, gender, or age-based biases, if he had any. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is in court now. And in their court filing, they've admitted three things. One, the lawsuit was factually and legally baseless. Two, the staff misled leadership about how much evidence they had for it. And three, that Townstone, the targeted company, was targeted for the political speech of its founder. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is now asking the court to undo the settlement. What about the staff? What about the staff? Seems like there needs to be a major investigation. Now, there are a couple of things you need to know. The original investigation began in 2017. That is true. But in 2017, during that investigation, they found no evidence. They had no evidence that anyone was deterred from seeking credit, but they decided to continue to pursue the investigation. And then, let me read you this. Following the unrest, this is from the Pacific Legal Foundation that represented this lending institution. Following the unrest in the wake of George Floyd's death in May of 2020, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau employees saved captures of tweets posted by Townstone's owner, Barry Sterner. A PDF capture of the account profile page is file name Townstone Finn tweets BS posts that he was the victim of police. Another capture bearing a last-minute date of June 8th, 2020 and file name Townstone tweet from June 2nd PDF features Townstone's owner expressing opposition to looting. So when Biden becomes president, they file a lawsuit. The Trump administration is acknowledging that this began during the last Trump administration and that it was CFPB employees who misrepresented their evidence to the political appointees of the Trump administration. They claim, the Trump administration does now, that had the political appointees of the Trump administration understood the lack of evidence or the mischaracterization of evidence, they would never have even pursued the investigation. But it was the Biden administration that then, based on the tweets and statements of the CEO on radio, that they would pursue the lawsuit against him. This is the government conservatives have been warning you about. This is the administrative state abuses of the bureaucracy DOGE has been warning you about. The staff at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, according to court filings by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, misrepresented to management the evidence they had. Think about that. Think about that. This company had to spend money on lawyers to fight a government bureau because of the statements the owner tweeted about the George Floyd riots, and that was somehow proof of discrimination against people that the company worked with, despite their investigation showing there was no proof of discrimination in giving loans. This is exactly what conservatives have been warning about, the abuse of government. And it started under the first Trump administration, and now this administration is saying, hey, you know what? It turns out the staff were lying to us. That's why we pursued the investigation. We trusted the bureaucracy. I make this point so much, it's so repetitive of me to do, but I got to do it anyway. During the crisis in the Roman Empire, it continued to operate because the bureaucrats had the interests of Rome at heart, and they still collected the taxes and did the planning and the zoning and the building of the aqueducts and the structural integrity inspections and on and on and on. This United States bureaucracy has become so politicized and so weaponized against businesses, there's no trust left. In political crises in the United States, you can't trust the bureaucracy to just get its job done because the bureaucracy is being weaponized against people. It's being weaponized against people's political speech online, and it's using the power of government to try to destroy a business because the career bureaucrats within the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau didn't like what they said about the George Floyd riots. Y'all, this is wild and not good stuff. And it transcends parties, but it was the Biden administration itself that ran with it to court. The original Trump administration didn't actually file the lawsuit. They investigated. But Biden decided his team, the ones who really believe in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, to use its power against Townstone. Now, what's notable is that the Trump administration has now taken back over and they've laid off all the employees. The CFPB was structured to get its funding from the Federal Reserve, not from Congress directly. The Supreme Court has upheld that funding. Minority, Thomas Roberts and a couple others objected, but the CFPB is a dangerous organization weaponized by progressives to go after lending institutions. Its regulations have made it impossible for community banks to grow. It's made it impossible for small banks to grow. See, what it does is the CFPB is restricted in the banks it can oversee, and there's a certain lending level that you have to reach. And community banks and small banks typically don't reach it, but when they do reach it, suddenly the overwhelming bureaucracy of the CFPB kicks in against them, and it makes it too costly for these small banks to grow into big banks. So the big banks are protected by the bureaucracy of the CFPB, and the mid-sized banks are the ones that are targeted by the CFPB, so they can't grow, so it stifles competition. So David can never slay Goliath because the CFPB is there to slay David first. This is a problem that needs Congress. Russ Vought, I think, is still in charge now of the CFPB. Maybe somebody else has actually been in charge recently, but Russ was originally put in charge of it and wants to gut it, informed the Federal Reserve to stop sending the CFPB money, which he was allowed to do. But Congress has to act on this stuff, and this is my frustrating thing with everything right now. You know what the United States Senate Republicans have decided to do? They want to investigate 9/11 again. Tower 7. There's been this conspiracy theory by a bunch of ignorant conspiracists who believe that Tower 7, and listen, don't call my program. Charlie is under orders to block you if you call with the stupid conspiracy theory about the Tower 7, the World Trade Center. Ron Johnson wants to mobilize the forces of the federal government, though, to revisit the conspiracy theory as opposed to stopping the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's what Republicans do. The Democrats want to save the MS-13 gang instead of fighting the president on the economy. The Republicans, instead of locking in the president's gains and Doge's cuts through rescission, have decided to reopen the 9/11 investigation to nurse a conspiracy theory about the third tower that fell when it's been well documented why it fell through a series of cascading fires through the building that weakened its structure. Because the water system went out inside it. But why deal with an out-of-control bureaucracy when you can nurse conspiracy theories? Why deal with the economy when you can protect MS-13 gangbangers? Both sides in Congress are dropping the ball on protecting Americans.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
120 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching the brake lights through Buckhead on 400 southbound from Lennox Road down to a crash. Hopefully it should be clearing before you get to Sidney Marcus Boulevard, exit 1. Also had a rain shower roll through that area, so dealing with some wet pavement on 400 there in Buckhead. They're working to clear up this crash right now, blocking Jimmy Carter Boulevard eastbound right at Highway 141, Peachtree Industrial Boulevard in the Peachtree Corners area. Cars are on the tow truck, so that should clear soon. Traffic brought to you by Lear Capital. Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at betternestegg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
More local news.
Folk round stop at the airport. Meanwhile, Governor Kemp reacting.
More traffic.
Interloop injury crash, 2 left lanes.
More weather.
This thunderstorm is capable of producing a quick spin up.
Atlanta's Morning News. Tomorrow morning at 5.
Wake up with 95.5 WSB.
How Atlanta starts its day.
It's Erick Erickson here. Every single day now, I deal with a malicious request to click a link. My daughter the other day got a text message some of you have probably gotten. Click on it and pay your toll, and it's just a scam. All these things keep happening. They're preying upon the young, senior citizens, and you and me. But there's good news. Vision Computer is here to help you. If you have their managed service, you're never alone, and in just 15 seconds, expert tech support is at your fingertips, ready to protect you from online threats, scams, and computer problems. And you don't have to take my word for it. We're a Vision Computer household, but they've got thousands of 5-star reviews beyond my household reviews, but I'd give them 5 stars too. They've got thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews because they're simply the best. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today or visit them online at visioncomputers.com, because when it comes to your security, you can't afford to wait. Vision will take care of you. Tell them I sent you. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com.
At Ameris Bank, we know it's never just business when it's your business. So we're here to be your partner. Whether you're launching a startup, expanding locations, or managing daily finances at your company, you can do it all with a committed financial partner on your side. Our expert business bankers are ready to empower you on your financial journey. We're Ameris Bank, and we're fiercely yours. Find your local business banker at amerisbank.com/businessbankers. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Passion. It's the difference between getting it done and being exceptional. For your home's exterior renovation, hire a company passionate about your project. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus.
Hi, I'm Charlie. My passion for high-quality remodeling began when I started my business at just 15. Now we have grown to the Plus family of businesses. If you hear the Plus, it's us.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Listen up, because women have long waited for the world to recognize the importance of our health.
Northside Hospital goes beyond "we hear you" to "we're out here with you," because women deserve more than open ears.
They deserve open doors, and 1 ounce of action is worth 1,000 words.
Northside is rolling up our sleeves and getting to work for you.
This is a house call. Heard. Learn more at northside.com/heard.
Okay, so you're working in the yard, but you're one bale of pine straw short, which means another trip to the Pine Straw store. You need a Toyota Tundra from Beaver Toyota of Cumming. Dave Baker here. With your lifestyle, the Toyota Tundra is the perfect vehicle for you. It has plenty of room to haul stuff for work or for play. Plus, it comes with the Beaver benefits: lifetime powertrain warranty, free oil changes, premium roadside assistance, and more. The Toyota Tundra from Beaver Toyota of Cumming. It's the official truck of the Home Fix-It Show. See more at beavertoyotacumming.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. He may not tell you what you want to hear, but he tells you what you need to hear. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Greetings and welcome. It is Erick Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Let's go to the phones. John, waiting patiently. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions. This is regarding the Maryland case before the Supreme Court, and I know that it's being presented in context of religion, which the Constitution allows protections and so forth. So from a legal standpoint, that's why it's being brought that way. But my question first is, why shouldn't or couldn't a parent simply opt out of something with which they disagree? So, for example, if the book wasn't about puppies and drag queens, but was Colt Remington Goes Hunting, the other side would be going nuts, saying we don't want our kids to go read that book or listen to that book. And then that leads to the next question, which is, if we have the situation which seems to have come about over the last couple of years where school boards and governments, like in this case with Maryland, that seem to be replacing the parents with their own judgment, what do we as parents and citizens of the United States need to do to reassert our primacy as parents? Because I think we've reached a tipping point, or past that tipping point now, where the government seems to be pushing themselves into that role and seems to be doing it more and more. So where do we go from here? How do we counteract
Great question. So let's take the first one first. That was part of the concerns of the conservatives in the Supreme Court, is that this is the only lesson there was no opt-out allowed for. So if they were to read a violent book about guns, parents could opt out of it, but they couldn't opt out of these books. And that was a red flag for the court, when you can opt out of everything except this particular lesson. And the other issue is, and this is where the liberals were coming from, is school boards are democratically elected, so vote out the school board members. And the left was of the position that, well, you can just homeschool your kid. But, funding public schools is compulsory, and unless you have the means or ability, you can't homeschool your kid or send them to private school. And you're going to have to take democratic action and rally people to throw these people out through elections is really what it comes down to. Now, let me direct your attention to Eden Pure. The BOGO is this week, EdenPureDeals.com, Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO. That is the discount code. If you buy one, you get one free. You buy two, you get two free. You buy five, you get five free. EdenPureDeals.com is where you go. They're air purifiers, but they're odor eliminators. I'm actually not going to be here tomorrow. I'm taking a trip. I've already got mine packed. You can hold it in your hand. You can hold it in the palm of your hand. You can plug it up with a USB cord. You can plug it directly into the wall, and it just works. It eliminates all odors, smoke odors, litter box odors, wet dog odors, fried fish in the kitchen odors. It takes them all out. It generates ozone. And with that ozone, it touches the ionized particles of the odors and wipes them out. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO. You buy one, you get one free. You buy five, you get five free. That's the way it works. They'll eliminate pet dander, dust, pollen. They eliminate 99.9% of viruses and bacteria. They wipe out all odors. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code Eric Bogo.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. A mother pleading guilty to the death of her 7-year-old daughter nearly 2 years ago in DeKalb County. Alondra Hobbs entering the plea today. Her attorney says Hobbs is now ready to admit to the horrific crime.
She does not want me to make excuses for what she's done. She does not want a trial. She wants to take responsibility.
A judge sentenced her to life without the possibility for parole. She killed her daughter and left her mummified body in a closet for months. Your weather for today: cloudy skies, scattered showers, a few thunderstorms late in the afternoon with a high of 78, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. A Stone Mountain woman lands behind bars in Gwinnett County in an elder fraud case, and police believe more victims are out there. Captain Robert Thompson with Suwannee Police saying 24-year-old Brianna Michelle Powell accused of taking about $20,000 from 4 victims.
Miss Powell had been an in-home caregiver, kind of like help with household chores, cooking, that kind of stuff.
And police found out about the alleged crimes after an elderly woman was hit with fraudulent credit card charges and noticed checks missing from her home. Police want anybody who may have had Powell in their home to contact the agency. The nation's birth rate is still near a record low. The Atlanta-based CDC saying births increased by just 1% last year from 2023's record low. The fertility rate is at 1.6 births per woman, I should say. That was well below the 2.1 needed to keep the nation's population steady. The low birth rate, many say, could impact the economy with fewer young workers around to support the growing senior population. And it's been 20 years today since the first video was uploaded to YouTube. The platform now operates in more than 100 countries around the world and hosts billions of videos. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow right now is currently up 645 at 39,832. So the Dow's up more than 1.5%. NASDAQ's up more than 3%, and the S&P's up more than 2%. It's 132.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Spring storms can produce flash flooding with heavy rain flowing around your house and into your crawl space. And rainwater trapped in there will provide the perfect breeding ground for mold. Hey, this is Christina Epwords. Mold not only produces that stale, musty smell, but it can also impact the air quality in your home. But call my friends at American Crawl Space Solutions. They will encapsulate your crawl space, keeping it dry and preventing mold from forming. AmericanCrawlSpaceSolutions.com, your best value for crawl space repair.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Alex Williams.
Looking for new trouble, looking for new trouble on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound. Starting to see some brake lights fill in from Riverside Parkway, passing Fulton Industrial Boulevard, exit number 49. You're also seeing some delays, 285 southbound, the outer loop on the west side from South Cobb Drive, getting down to exit 10, I-20, the West Freeway. And better news in Gwinnett County, earlier crash all cleared up in Peachtree Corners on Jimmy Carter Boulevard at Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. All lanes back open there. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Epwords. Mostly cloudy with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms later this afternoon. High 78.
More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be a part of the program, I'm happy to have you. I'm afraid we reach the moment of the show where I have to anger some people who I consider friends. In fact, maybe some of you. I continue to be concerned about the woke right, which is really no different from the woke left. You know, if you listen to progressives right now who want Donald Trump fired perpetually and fought and stopped, they say Democrats, they got to meet the moment. You got to meet the moment. And by meeting the moment, they mean riot and burn things down. The woke right uses the phrase, know what time it is. And the way you know what time it is, according to the woke right, is when you must abandon your long-held principles because you decide your principles no longer work. What has conservatism conserved? Don't you know what time it is? You hear this all the time from the woke right. The woke right likes cancel culture just like the woke left. The woke right wants to use power for the sake of power. They don't want to get rid of power so the other side can use it. Can't use it. They want to use power, and ultimately it leads actually to the authoritarianism. Both sides warn about the other side. Listen, if you use power for the sake of power, at some point you can't give up that power. Otherwise, the other side will use it against you. There's no such thing as permanent majorities in this country. And so both the woke right and the woke left are very authoritarian because they do want to silence the other side. And the only way they can completely stop the other side is to refuse to give up power. The woke right and the woke left are the same sorts of people. They are antagonistic. They will use whatever prevailing consensus they have and weaponize it against the other side. Look at this Christian nationalist argument by some people on the right that we need to prohibit everybody else in this country. We've never really been pluralistic. They revise the history of the country the same way the woke left does. And one of the things that both the woke right and the woke left do is they try to delegitimize institutions that stand in their way. For the last 4 years in the United States, we have seen the woke left, the hard-charging progressives, try to delegitimize the United States Supreme Court. We have had attacks on Sam Alito's wife. We have had attacks on Sam Alito. We have had attacks on Clarence Thomas. We've had attacks on Clarence Thomas's wife. We've had attacks on Neil Gorsuch. And we've had attacks on Brett Kavanaugh. God knows what the left went through to try to stop Brett Kavanaugh from getting on the Supreme Court. We've had attacks from the left on Amy Coney Barrett and her family. Well, now Donald Trump's in charge, and the woke right is not getting what they want from the Supreme Court as quickly as they want it. As I have long said, I suspect the Supreme Court is going to give the Trump administration a lot of what it wants on its ability to deport. But they're not going to do it at the pace that the Trump administration wants. And it's all about hurrying up, hurrying up, hurrying up. Don't you know what time it is? You got to hurry up. You got to rise. You got to meet the moment. You got to hurry it up, Supreme Court. You got to hurry it up. Amy Coney Barrett, you're slowing us down. Amy Coney Barrett, who is a big believer in process and doesn't like the so-called shadow docket, the emergency docket that the Supreme Court uses to move things along. She is a big opponent of it. She thinks everything needs to be open and transparent. She's big on process. And she sides repeatedly with the conservatives on the big issues of the day. She sided with the conservatives on affirmative action. She sided with conservatives on abortion. She sided with conservatives on the Chevron doctrine. She repeatedly sides with conservatives, and yet she doesn't move fast, and so she's a lib. She's a squish. She's undermining the court. The court started this fight. This is all about the courts. You know, the progressives actually using the court system did start the fight, and I think the Supreme Court's going to end the fight. But they're not doing it at the pace the woke right wants, because the thing the revolutionaries of the woke right and the woke left want, the progressives of the left and the progressives of the right want, is speed. They want rapid speed. At all times, in all cases, they want the Supreme Court to move at their speed. They want the Supreme Court to move as fast as possible to give them what they want. And they will discredit and undermine the institutions of the judicial system if they don't give it to them at the moment they want them, because don't you know what time it is? Let me give you an example of the United States Supreme Court that the progressive right now wishes to destroy. They wish to destroy the institution that gave us Fisher versus United States. Do you know what Fisher versus United States is? That's the case that threw out lots of convictions of the rioters of January 6th. The January 6th defendants, the Supreme Court ruled that they were wrongly charged with obstruction of justice. So the United States Supreme Court gave what the right wanted. Fisher versus United States. Roberts, Thomas, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, they were in the majority. Even Jackson, yes, left-wing progressive Justice Jackson concurred in the Fisher versus United States decision. Amy Coney Barrett was in the minority on that one. This Supreme Court that doesn't know what time it is clearly a tool of the far left, stopping Donald Trump, gave us Trump versus Anderson. Trump versus Anderson is a case that said that states could not take Donald Trump off the ballot. In that case, John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the United States of America, was joined by Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito and Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett and Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yeah. Yeah, the Supreme Court that's not won't meet the moment, doesn't know what time it is clearly on the wrong side of Trump and is bad and corrupt. It gave Donald Trump a unanimous win and kept him on the ballot. This United States Supreme Court that doesn't know what time it is and has gone woke and left and wants to stop Donald Trump, it gave us Trump versus the United States of America. Trump versus United States of America gave the President of the United States massive immunity to be President of the United States and obstructed the case against Donald Trump, stalled the case against Donald Trump so that he could get elected without having to go to trial. It was John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Sam Alito, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett together siding with Donald Trump against the prosecutor who wanted to prosecute him in the United States District Court of the District of Columbia. Yep, they don't know what time it is. This court is clearly out to get Donald Trump. They removed certain January 6 defendants from prison. They kept Donald Trump on the ballot in key states. They protected him from prosecution, but they're not moving fast enough on the due process issue. They want to have a hearing on the due process issue. They want to make sure that people being deported from this country are being lawfully, legally deported from this country. And oh, by the way, it was the Trump administration that sent a man to El Salvador with a judicial order telling him not to send the man to El Salvador, and they screwed it up. Is it any wonder the United States Supreme Court wants to slow down? When I was majoring in political science in college, I had a professor, Coomer, who was not a conservative. He was pretty liberal, but boy, the real libs didn't like him because he was willing to give a fair hearing to the other side. And he spent a lot of time on horseshoe theory. And horseshoe theory is the idea that at the outer edges of the far left and the far right, it's basically the same people. They move to each other. Now Coomer was actually believed in political circle more than a horseshoe. He thought that it comes full circle. The far left and the far right meet together in the circle. And it was just his variation of the horseshoe theory. And he said there are a lot of political scientists actually who reject the idea of it. It has come full circle. In horseshoe theory, the far left and the far right are almost touching. It's the wokes on the right, the wokes on the left, the progressives. The progressive rights, I mean, look at the people who are backing some of Donald Trump's economic reforms right now. They were socialist Bernie Sanders supporters, and now they're socialist Donald Trump supporters. They believe we need some sort of a progressive Politburo to set industrial policy in the United States. It's what socialists believe. Socialists believe the government should set a national industrial policy. It's what the people supporting the tariffs believe. The socialists believe in a command and control economy. Peter Navarro was a member of the left. He now advises Donald Trump, and he hasn't changed a single position. He's just changed his political party. You see this with the Steve Bannons of the world who just want to use power for the means justify the ends. Or the ends justify the means, rather. You get the outcome you want. Who cares how you got it done? Use the power of government. They want to wield the power of government against their opponents. They don't want to get rid of the power. They like it. But the problem, again, is that at some point, the other side's going to get the power unless you stop them. And how do you stop them? Through any means necessary, because the ends justify the means. That's wokeism. It lacks grace. It's all or nothing. You have your truth. It doesn't matter. You can lie as much as you want to get your way. God will forgive you, you see. And you know the way they justify this is a sick thing they do. They say, well, I mean, wasn't it right that people lied to save the Jews in the Holocaust? We should be able to lie to advance a policy. Think of all the people we're going to save with our policy. So lying's okay. God will forgive you. They twist the horrors of saving Jews from the Holocaust to, well, we can lie. We're protecting babies. We can lie. We're protecting children from transgenders, and we can lie. The left believes you can lie too. They don't care about God or sin. They don't want to be honest. The ends justify the means. And so now, for 4 years, we have watched the woke left try to discredit and destroy the United States Supreme Court, hoping to bully the justices of the Supreme Court to give them their way and to meet the moment. To meet the moment. That's what they said. The Supreme Court's not meeting the moment. And now the woke right is doing the same damn thing, discrediting the Supreme Court, attacking John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, who sided with the January 6th defendants, who sided with Trump's ballot access, who sided with Trump on immunity. But they don't know what time it is. We got to hurry it up. We got to hurry it up. We got to round these people up. Trump's got until the Democrats take back Congress in 2027. We got to hurry it up. The Supreme Court's slowing this down. We got to deport all these people as quick as possible. They don't need due process. We don't give them due process. We will break down the shackles and institutions of the United States to give the right what they want. It's exactly what the left wants. The wokes on both sides will destroy any institution that stands in their way because those institutions just don't know what time it is. I would submit at times like this, what time it is the time to stand firm in your principles of right and wrong and not give in for the sake of power, because power is corrupting, and it would be far better for us to destroy the power and use the Supreme Court to end the power of the politicians. And you know, the deep irony here with tariffs and everything else and the way it's probably going to wind up with a recession and everything else is that it probably is going to broke either the court system or the Congress to act to rein in the power of the executive. And that in and of itself will be a very good thing. And the irony of all ironies that so many of these people on the left and the right who demand that the executive use their power because don't you know what time it is might actually see that power go away. And that will be a huge, huge conservative win for all of us. Rein in the power of the executive. Don't use the power. Get rid of it so the other side can't use it against you. Makes way more sense, since there's no such thing as permanence in American politics. Now, if you took a class from Hillsdale College, you would learn all about this sort of stuff. In fact, you can take their class on capitalism. Go to ericforhillsdale.com and learn about how free markets build a common shared morality. Free markets actually help build it. They don't just foster what's already there. They help build it because of arm's length transactions, and it fosters a level of integrity and honesty over time. Free markets are a good thing. They've elevated more people out of poverty than any other economic system, and Hillsdale College gives you all the information you need to learn about the marvels of the system at ericforhillsdale.com. You sign up, you get a certificate of completion, you do it at your own pace. You don't have to pay a penny. It's completely free, and they've got 39 others, 40 total, 39 classes you can choose from with some of the best faculty of Hillsdale. They're video lectures. You do them at your own pace. You get a certificate of completion from economics to literature to theology to philosophy to political science. You take these classes at Hillsdale College. You don't pay a penny, and you learn. Surely there's a topic you're interested in. Maybe it's ancient Athens and Sparta. Maybe it's capitalism. Maybe it's the literature of Genesis. Maybe it's Shakespeare or C.S. Lewis. Maybe it's the constitutional order in the United States and the Revolutionary War. Maybe it's basic economics. They're all available. Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
150 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Pretty good rain shower over DeKalb County right now. I see it on the jam cam where it's raining on I-285 in the Tucker area. Use caution on the wet pavement there. It is causing some slowdown on 285 southbound leaving 85 Spaghetti Junction. Travel advisory in Sandy Springs, crash 400 northbound before Northridge Road exit 6. It's in 2 left lanes. You're starting to jam up back toward Abernathy. You can use Highway 9 as the alternate to avoid those delays. Traffic brought to you by Lear Capital. Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver report and precious metals IRA guide at betternestegg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
That's amazing.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every weekday.
This is Dawn in Brazelton, and I just won $1,000 from WSB.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2.
The WSB 5K day bonus blitz
on 95.5 WSB.
This is Scott Slade. Let's talk about how to improve your chances of living a longer, healthier life. For me, it's preventive medicine. My doctor saw one funky number in my lab work that eventually led to a diagnosis early enough so I still had options. You just got to have a medical professional looking at you every so often, especially when we're talking about heart disease, the nation's #1 killer. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation, like flying in an airplane. They can detect calcium levels in your arteries and most cancers at the earliest stage. And virtual imaging can scan your brain to see if you're in danger of a tumor, stroke, or even dementia. So don't put this off, especially with this offer from virtual imaging. For a limited time, they're offering you and your spouse a free heart scan. Yes, free with a few minimum requirements. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Mix and match 5 or more items for just 99 cents each with your card. Choose Campbell's Soup, Kroger brand pasta, North Sides, and more. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz, and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no, and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's army of activists and let your voice be heard. Text ARMY to 33777.
I hit the button earlier, so let me just remind you guys about Americans for Prosperity here before we move on. Americans for Prosperity is the largest leading grassroots organization in the country. They happen to be on our side, and they are fighting for common sense conservative reforms around the country. They would love to have you involved with them. I'm on their board of advisors. Go around the country giving speeches for them. They've got chapters in just about every state. Here's what sets them apart. They actually get into the states and they rally the grassroots, so they're not just in D.C. trading white papers. They actually go into the states. They find concerned citizens who care about common sense conservative reforms. They educate them on the issues. They fight at the state level, the state legislatures advancing conservative reforms. They fight in Washington, D.C., and they train you up to be an effective conservative activist. So you always know what's going on, what the big issue is, and what the proposals are to fix that big issue. You can only do that with Americans for Prosperity. Find out more at americansforprosperity.org. That's americansforprosperity.org. Sign up with Americans for Prosperity today. You can thank me later. Highly great organization I love being a part of. Now, if you haven't heard, Target, Walmart, and Home Depot have been able to sit down with the president and explain to him that you're about to see prices go up. One of my and one of history's, one of Adam Smith's concerns with tariffs is that it helps the big and not the small. There's been a lot of talk from advisors around the president that the tariffs will help Main Street, not Wall Street, except it's Target, Home Depot, Apple, Walmart, NVIDIA that have gotten audiences with the president to make their case for exceptions. It is not your aunt or your uncle or your grandmother or your parents' small shop on Main Street in your town that has been able to get the audience with the president to make the case against tariffs. It's the big corporations. That's the way it always works. The lobbyists in D.C. are making a boatload of money fighting the tariffs, getting exceptions and carve-outs for their businesses. But the mom and pop shop on Main Street or 2nd Street or right there on the town square, it doesn't have the lobbyists. So it's not being heard. And those are the companies, despite the spin that this helps Main Street and hurts Wall Street, it's actually hurting Main Street and not hurting Wall Street as much. A lot of small businesses do not have the margin of error to be able to have wiggle room to get out of the tariffs. They can't diversify from China. China is the only place they can buy their goods. They would love to. Most small businesses are super patriots who don't really want to do business with China. They just don't have a way out of it right now in the way a Walmart does or a Home Depot does, where they can alter their supply chain. The small business can't do that. This has always been about hurting small businesses, even though that's not the way this White House sees it. That's always the effect of it. So Target, Walmart, and Home Depot have been able to sit down with the President of the United States and say, hey, tariffs bad, it's going to hurt us. Thankfully, they also pointed out how it's going to hurt Main Street. But the National Federation of Independent Businesses and the small business on the town square, they're not getting the one-on-one audience to make the case about how the tariffs hurt them. But actually, contrary to the spin from Peter Navarro and others, this actually does hurt Main Street, not Wall Street. And thankfully, the president is listening even to the big companies, pointing out how small companies are going to be hurt. And they're going to make changes, thankfully. Now, of course, some of you will say, well, that was always part of the plan. Well, they could have told these small businesses who are now hurting right now because of the 125% tariff on China, but everyone will find a way to excuse and apologize for it, except the small business that goes out of business because of the tariff.
Hey, folks, it's Shelley Winter here. You know, sometimes they make fun of me around the office because I doze off at my desk while doing show prep. Well, you know why that happened? It's because of a lack of sleep. I have sleep apnea. So if you snore or have sleep apnea also, you're not living life to the fullest. So listen up. I know you're tired, but in all seriousness, this is important. My friends over at Palmetto Sleep are changing lives with a custom-fit oral appliance that stops your snoring and treats sleep apnea. I'm not talking about something you buy out of a supermarket. This is a custom-made for your mouth and covered by your private medical insurance. What I love most is that they do everything from the diagnosis to the delivery of the oral appliance and everything in between. They even provide a take-home sleep study and virtual consults. If you're ready for a great night's sleep, you're ready for Palmetto Sleep. Go to palmettosleep.com. That's palmettosleep.com right now. Don't suffer from another sleepless night. palmettosleep.com.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Thousands of people lining up at St. Peter's Basilica to pay their respects to Pope Francis, including Alex Lenritz of Atlanta.
It's just a real place, and it's very holy, and seeing the body and just remembering everything that he stood for is very important.
The Vatican says it may extend visiting hours beyond midnight due to overwhelming turnout. Francis will lie in state for 3 days before Saturday's funeral that's expected to draw at least 250,000 people. After the funeral, CBS's John Allen reports cardinals begin the process of selecting the next pope.
Just because Francis appointed almost all of the cardinals who will elect his successor, that doesn't mean they're going to run off to a photocopy machine and give us a clone. I mean, often they think, well, that approach has had a good long time to work itself out. Now it's time to try something different.
77 degrees in Atlanta. We have scattered rain showers around metro Atlanta this afternoon. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. A mother is sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for murdering her 7-year-old daughter. Alondra Hobbs pleads guilty in a DeKalb County courtroom today. Her attorney says Hobbs wants to take responsibility. Hobbs admits leaving her daughter's body in a closet for at least 4 months. She was arrested in June of 2023. The child was discovered after a man walked by the closet at the Hidden Valley Apartments and smelled a foul odor. A Stone Mountain woman is accused of stealing from the elderly. There are at least 4 victims, with each suffering big losses.
We are probably right around $20,000 right now.
Captain Robert Thompson with Suwannee Police says 24-year-old Brianna Powell is charged with 22 counts of identity fraud and elder exploitation. Police believe there may be more victims. Anyone who's had Powell in their home should contact police. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin announces today he will not seek re-election next year. The 80-year-old Durbin is the number 2 Democrat in the Senate in his 5th term. He's also the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Birth rates in the U.S. remain near a record low. Newly released numbers from the Atlanta-based CDC reveals a slight increase in the U.S. birth rate in 2024, following a decline the previous year. The 1% increase was driven entirely by gains in Hispanic and Asian births. There was also a drop in births among black and white mothers. The trend of older women having babies continued. Gains were the greatest among women ages 35 to 39. It is now 2:02. This news is sponsored by FGA Roofing. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
When it rains, you need to make sure your home is protected from the ground up. That means starting in your crawl space. Water in your crawl space can lead to problems in your house. Crawl space issues? Visit aquaguard.net today and book a free inspection. Remember,
AquaGuard. News is temporary, but your financial plan shouldn't be. I'm Wes Moss, and at Capital Investment Advisors, we're focused on helping retirees invest for income. This means building and managing a portfolio that delivers a steady stream of income, regardless of the scary headlines of the day. If you're ready to shift your focus from the headlines to your core pursuits in retirement, reach out to our team at yourwealth.com. That's YOUR wealth.com.
As Georgia's homegrown leader in business insurance, Builders partners with thousands of local businesses to safeguard workers and help them return to their lives after injuries. Explore reliable workers' compensation solutions at BLDRS.com. Builders, insurance built strong.
If you're in the market as a home buyer or seller, there's a lot of noise out there and a lot of options. Should you find a company to buy your home, or accept a guaranteed cash offer, or do a traditional sale? Each of these has an upside, and each has a downside. Hi, I'm Deborah Morton, founder of Clario Real Estate. My team and I can offer all of these, and we help our clients sort through these choices every day. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the next 6 to 12 months, we can give you clarity so you can decide with confidence. My team and I are the experts. We have helped hundreds of families move and are ranked in the top 5% nationally. At Clario Real Estate, we can provide clarity on the best approach for you. Oh, and I'm also the real estate expert and host of the show Inside Georgia Real Estate, airing right here every Saturday at 1 p.m. Go to InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com and tune in this Saturday at 1 p.m. for more. Clario Real Estate, real clarity, real certainty for the real value of your home.
Big Box Paint hates Rhino Shield. Why?
Because traditional paint chips, flakes, and peels, leaving homeowners just like you caught in an endless cycle of repainting your home.
They hate that Rhino Shield can protect and coat your home for decades. They hate that Rhino Shield insulates and makes your home more energy efficient. And they really hate that Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
Say goodbye to paint and say hello to durability that lasts.
Veteran owned, made right here in the USA. Go to RhinoShieldGA.com for your free evaluation.
At 2:05, Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Travel advisory into Sandy Springs. Crash, Georgia 400 northbound before Northridge exit 6. That's been in 2 left lanes. You're jammed up back to Abernathy Road. You can use Highway 9 as an alternate. If you're traveling into Midtown or downtown, seeing a little bit of a rain shower right around the I-85, I-75 merge there in Brookwood. You're on and off the brakes leaving 400 for the ride down toward North Avenue. And 85 northbound out of DeKalb and Gwinnett County. Some brake lights picking up from 285 to Jimmy Carter Boulevard in Norcross. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Epwards. Mostly cloudy through the afternoon, high 78. Scattered rain showers and thunderstorms continue through this evening, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, cloudy skies with pop-up showers and thunderstorms, high 77. This pattern continues through Friday.
80 in Norcross, 78 in College Park, 80 in Austell. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is heat. H-E-A-T. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBRadio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is heat. H-E-A-T. Join me live at 3 for the Von Haessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. If you text the word Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get all the links, even how TikTok and all of that. You can get it all there. I want to talk to you about a conspiracy theories and stupidity of parties. Ron Johnson, fine senator from Wisconsin, he is, but he now wants the Senate to hold an investigation into the collapse of 7 World Trade Center. You didn't know it collapsed? Yeah. On September 11th, 2001, 24 years ago, after the first and second tower collapsed, it collapsed. Now, here's what you need to know. There are people, including friends of mine, who are convinced that the 7 World Trade Center collapsed through a controlled demolition. They're convinced of the conspiracy theory. And the conspiracy theory boils down to this. We know how hot fire is. We know it wasn't hot enough to melt steel. Therefore, there's no way for the building to have collapsed. Now, this has been studied by lots and lots of engineers, and they have concluded that what happened is with the collapse of the World Trade Center, the water flow in that area was cut, and the sprinkler system couldn't put out the fire, and the fire spread throughout the building, and it damaged the overall structure of the building to such an extent that by about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the building collapsed. I think, let me pull this up. Yeah, 5:21 p.m. and 10 seconds. The rooftop penthouse collapsed at 5:20 p.m. and 33 seconds, and then the building started collapsing in on itself. There were a number of reasons for this, including that essentially the fire had been spreading throughout the building all day, and as it began to collapse, because of structural integrity issues, it just continued to collapse over time. Now, the theory, however, you should know, is that inside the building was the Central Intelligence Agency. That's right. The Secret Service had an office, the Department of Defense had an office, and the CIA had an office. And as a result, the conspiracy theorists are convinced there was some sort of controlled demolition, maybe destroying evidence that 9/11 was an inside job or something. And by the way, I've got friends of mine who cannot be persuaded otherwise. Some of them are engineers, although this is not their wheelhouse. They're engineers, they're in construction. They're like, there's no way this fire could have collapsed. They don't want to believe the experts. And, part of the issue here you do need to understand is that there are people who can't explain complicated events, so they've got to simplify it. And other people can't explain simple events. They got to complicate it. And those are the conspiracy minds. You can't take what is to rationalize what happened. You've got to, in some way, either make something complex or make something simple. How is it that Islamic radicals could learn to fly planes, bypass all the security traps we have, fly planes into the World Trade Center, and a building across the street not hit by a plane collapse? Clearly, it was an inside job. Clearly, they were covering something else. The CIA was in the building. It must be so. These are smart individuals. They're not dumb individuals. But they're smart individuals who, the way they process information, they can't take a complex series of events without simplifying it, and they can't take a simple series of events without complicating it. It's the way their brains work. And they tend to become conspiracy. It's not just one thing. They'll believe many conspiracy theories because, again, there is a segment of the population that can't take an event as is, and they're convinced that you are being lied to. And their rationalization is because many of these people, again, they are smart, but they have a level of latent arrogance in them that they're smarter than everyone else. And part of it is they make simple things very complicated. They make complicated things very simple. In fact, one guy I know who actually genuinely believes that the 7 World Trade Center was an inside job. It was a controlled demolition, had to do with the Defense Department and the CIA, and they decided to destroy the building. One of them, you talk to his wife, and his wife tells you that he complicates the most simple things in life. That in their day-to-day living, he's a very, very smart person, clearly on the spectrum smart person, and he cannot, if something is very simple, it's got to be made very complex. If something is very complex, he's very good at simplifying it, often missing key details, and that's just his personality, and God bless her, his wife is a saint, and she understands it, but the sheer act of going out to dinner is the most complex, convoluted series of events with this guy. And, of course, he believes in every conspiracy theory out there. Fluoride is government control. Chemtrails are real. And the World Trade Center 7 was a controlled demolition. Now, here's the thing you need to know. I don't care if you believe it's a conspiracy theory or not. If you believe it, I can't persuade you otherwise. If you believe 9/11 was an inside job, you are a crank. But I can't persuade you. You are now 24 years removed from the events, and you have concluded that the collapse of this tower was a controlled demolition for whatever reason. There's no way the fire wasn't hot enough to collapse the steel. Never mind we know the sprinklers were out, the water was out, the fire spread throughout the entire building. It wasn't just the steel beams that caused structural integrity problems. There was lots to it, and it caused a cascading collapse. Because it's never happened before, you think it can't happen, so it had to be a controlled demolition. I don't care what your rationale is for believing it. My point is this. 24 years removed from the collapse of Tower 7, why the hell does the United States Senate need to have a hearing on it when it can't pass a tax plan, it can't pass a tax cut, it's not reforming entitlements, it can't do a rescission on the president's agenda, it hasn't been able to pass anything, but Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, has suddenly bought into this conspiracy theory and has now decided the United States Senate that is incapable of getting anything done that needs to be done should, instead of getting anything done, should hold a hearing on a 24-year-old building collapse that only the conspiracy theorists are convinced was a controlled demolition, and every major engineering company that studied it says, yes, it actually was a collapse. It was an unintentional collapse due to a cascading, out-of-control fire that had no water and no fire support to close it out. Thank God no one died in Tower 7. They were all evacuated. But my goodness. I want to use this juxtaposition for you. The Democrats in the United States Senate, they don't want to fight Donald Trump on tariffs. They don't want to fight Donald Trump on the economy. They're not really even putting up much of a fight on tax reform. You know what they're doing? They're flying to El Salvador to get their picture taken with an MS-13 gang member who's been detained in El Salvador. Allegedly MS-13 gang member. Both sides in Washington, D.C. are behaving as if they are 30 feet above a runway. You know what the Airbus says. I played it for you on radio. Both sides. Ron Johnson and the Republicans and what's his name? The idiot Senate Democrat from Maryland who went to El Salvador. They're 30 feet above the runway, needing to pull back on the throttle. The Democrats are like snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and the Republicans are doing the same damn thing. We have to hold a hearing 24 years after the collapse of 7 World Trade Center because a conspiracy theorist is convinced the official story is wrong, and we have to go to El Salvador to hang out with a gang member because Orange Man bad. Is it any wonder people have lost trust in institutions? So much so that they would rather believe the conspiracy theory than anything else. This is just so stupid. This is just the dumbest thing. Why do we need to resurrect this? By the way, you should know Mike Lawler, Republican congressman from New York, is blasting Ron Johnson, saying that no educated person who has studied this, who actually is an expert on it, has come to this conclusion. Now, the conspiracy, no, this guy who is an expert, but he didn't actually go study the rubble or anything else, this conspiracy theorist. But the guys who studied the rubble, who actually went in and looked to try to figure out why did this building collapse, they came to this conclusion. FEMA came to the conclusion. The outside engineers who went to the site to study it, they came to the conclusion that, yes, the fire ran out of control. It did weaken the steel. It didn't melt the steel. It weakened the steel. It weakened the other structure. It caused the collapse of the building because there was no water. When the penthouse collapsed in, it hit points of weakness from the fire, and the whole building began to collapse. Yes, it had never happened before with a steel frame building. This was the first time, and they learned from it as a result. Mike Lawler, Republican congressman, thinks that it is just the dumbest thing that the Senate, which can't even come up with a tax plan, would rather waste its time on a 24-year-old conspiracy theory for people who are never going to be convinced that it's not a conspiracy. And I mean, this is the thing. The people who actually went there and studied the site, not just FEMA, but outside engineers, the people who built it, the architects involved and others, they studied it and they said it was a controlled collapse. It had never happened before, but it turns out that when you leave a rampant fire that spreads to all the floors of a building, it weakens the steel enough and the rest of the structural supports that when the top of it falls in, the roof collapsed, and just the impact of it on the force of it began to have a series of cascading effects. That this has happened before. They've actually made structural integrity changes to buildings since then as a result of what they learned. But the outside people, the people who speculate, the people who are engineers in this field but didn't actually go research it, some of them have said, no, it had to be a controlled demolition because this has never happened before. And because it's never happened before, it must be their controlled demolition. They're never going to be convinced otherwise. My friend who is convinced it's a controlled demolition, if Jesus Christ were to show up tomorrow and tell him it was actually an unfortunate series of cascaded events due to an uncontrolled fire and was not a controlled demolition, my friend's response would be, oh my God, the conspiracy goes all the way to the top. He would, if Jesus Christ came and told him that it was just a collapse of a building, it was not a controlled demolition, he would not believe Jesus Christ because he studied all of the outside conspiracy theorist engineers who have convinced him it is so, and he trusts his experts. He would not trust Jesus on this. I guarantee you, he would not trust the Lord Almighty if the Lord Almighty contradicted what he has built up in his head over 24 years. There's no way to convince him. So why bother having a hearing on this? Why bother going to El Salvador to do a video op, a photo op with a man who his wife had a restraining order against him because he was abusive? Because you're letting the other side define you. You become radicalized by the other side. So Senate Republicans, instead of passing tax cuts, are going to study a 24-year-old conspiracy theory. And the Democrats, instead of fighting Trump on the economy, are going to fight him on illegal immigration, something the public actually supports him on. We are led by profoundly smart people who are actually quite stupid.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory continues on Georgia 400 northbound into Sandy Springs. Crash in a couple of left lanes before Northridge Road, exit number 6. You're jammed up back towards I-285. Think about using Highway 9 as an alternate to avoid that. Elsewhere in Norcross are holding all lanes. 85 southbound Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99 to move a stall from the left shoulder to the right shoulder, so you're seeing some delays there. But no need for an alternate. Just hang in there. Lanes should reopen here any minute now. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Find fresh organics at Whole Foods Market. Get 16-ounce container of organic strawberries for $3.99 with Prime through April 29th while supplies last. Shop in-store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is heat. H-E-A-T. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBradio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is HEAT, H-E-A-T. Join me live at 3 for the Von Haessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place, you know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in will work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on portfolio x-ray, or click on full retirement plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson. You wouldn't trust Mac with a jack to fix your home's sinking foundation problem, would you? I certainly wouldn't. Serious issues need serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, so are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
So how do we create value? This is Greg Trzynski from the Original Mattress Factory. Value comes from having complete control over our product quality. From design to manufacturing to delivery, everything is handled in-house by our trained professionals. This approach allows us to maintain strict quality standards and respond quickly to customer needs. We believe true value is created when a company takes full responsibility for its products. When you choose OMF, you're getting a mattress built with care and attention at every step. OriginalMattress.com.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and
You
Talk.
may not agree with him, but he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there, welcome. The phone number here, 877-973-7425. Let me go to Tim, waiting patiently. Welcome to the show, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Eric. A longtime listener and retired firefighter. And I'm part of the Common Sense Club with a bunch of buddies of mine, and we have a term for your conspiracy theorist.
Uh-huh.
And it is they're educated way beyond their intelligence.
Yeah, honestly, Tim, there is a lot of the major people who embrace conspiracy theories they consider themselves much smarter than everyone else, and they gravitate towards walking word salads who say things that they already tend to agree with, and they come to these conclusions that it must be so. They don't believe the experts. They decide to discover their own experts, and they want to complicate simple things because in their mind surely it can't be that simple, and they got to simplify complex things because surely it can't be that complex, and it always amazes me when I find people who believe like the Tower 7 controlled demolition. They're all the same sort of person, and by the way, they're almost all men too.
Well, you're right, and they just get feet on each other and they continue the theory.
Yeah, they do. Listen, I appreciate it, Tim. Thanks very much. Yeah, listen, and again, I don't want to. I know I sound insulted. I do. I'm aware of that, and I don't mean to be. There's just not. You can't talk about them without them getting insulted unless you agree with them, and you're never going to convince them otherwise because they are convinced that you are just being played by the powers that be, and they are the smart ones who can see through the nonsense. And it's just wild to encounter, and it's kind of sad too. The other thing is that a lot of them are people of faith, but they also complicate the faith as well. There's a great conspiracy theory. What happened to Jesus' body? I take the simple answer, but some people they know there was a great conspiracy. All these people decided they needed to be murdered. Jesus' own family needed to be murdered because they pulled his body out of the tomb to claim he had risen. It was this mass conspiracy. All these people willing to die horrible deaths to keep a lie going. Surely that must be true, as opposed to he rose again. But man, and then they get really defensive too. But it's always you. You're always the dumb one. They're always the smart one. You're never going to persuade them. So why even bother? With banks collapsing, with the market situation today, it is good today, bad tomorrow, you never know. With gold prices soaring the way they are, Swiss America has been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years in this country. They've been warning people about a secret war on cash. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the secret war, you need to get their free report. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They can educate you on protecting your assets. Their report is completely free. The Secret War on Cash report takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can save your retirement and finances. Essentially, what they describe is how the government not only spies on your cash purchases in ways you think they can't, but they're trying to steer and control those purchases. Well, it includes cryptocurrency. You can get the report by calling or texting my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. If you text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646, they'll send you back a link, or call them. Mention Eric sent you at 800-289-2646. They will send you the report. It is completely free to you guys. 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. A mother pleads guilty to killing her 7-year-old daughter nearly 2 years ago and stuffing her body in a closet for months. Alondra Hobbs enters the plea today in a DeKalb County courtroom. A judge sentences Hobbs to life without the possibility of parole. St. Peter's Basilica flooded with thousands of people today wanting to pay their respects to Pope Francis. The Vatican announces today it may extend visiting hours beyond midnight due to the overwhelming turnout. Francis will lie in state for 3 days before Saturday's funeral. Asked about his tariffs today, President Trump says every country wants to make a deal, even China.
We're going to be making money with everyone, and everyone's going to be happy, but we're no longer going to be the country that's ripped off by every country in the world.
Speaking to the International Monetary Fund meeting in Washington, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says countries are lining up to strike new agreements with the U.S. to avoid the high tariffs President Trump is ready to impose. WSB Money Update. Stocks higher for the second straight day. The Dow is up 464 points at this hour. The NASDAQ is up close to 3%, and the S&P is up almost 2% at this hour. WSB Scam Alert. The latest FBI crime report shows a disturbing trend.
According to a new report just released by the Bureau, fraud by phone and the internet is surging, and Americans are losing a stunning amount of money, and cyber crooks increasingly focusing on seniors.
Pierre Thomas reports the most devastating losses come from investment scams, especially big butchering schemes, which cost victims $6.6 billion last year. These scams often start with a friendly text and escalate into fake investment pitches that drain victims' savings. It is now 2:32. This news is sponsored by Bread Beckers.
Okay, let's get real. Spring is here. The weather's gorgeous. Want to hang out on my deck, but all that pollen and grime is just so gross. So I call Wise Guys Pro Wash. One call, got a quote, I booked it, came home the next day, and boy, the house, the driveway, the patio, all sparkling, and I didn't even need to be home. If your home needs a spring glow up, call Wise Guys and mention me, Chris Chandler. Get $70 off any service before April 30th if you do. Book now at wiseguysprowash.com.
Hope. It's more than a word. It's a breakthrough in the making. At City of Hope, we're pushing the boundaries of science, targeting cancer at the molecular level, with teams of experts working together to personalize a treatment plan right down to your DNA with unprecedented speed, making every second count, with appointments in as little as 24 hours. City of Hope, advancing cancer care at life-saving speed. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
It's Eric Erickson here. Every single day now, I deal with a malicious request to click a link. My daughter the other day got a text message some of you have probably gotten. Click on it and pay your toll, and it's just a scam. All these things keep happening. They're preying upon the young, senior citizens, and you and me. But there's good news. Vision Computer is here to help you. If you have their managed service, you're never alone, and in just 15 seconds, expert tech support is at your fingertips, ready to protect you from online threats, scams, and computer problems. And you don't have to take my word for it. We're a Vision Computer household, but they've got thousands of 5-star reviews beyond my household reviews, but I'd give them 5 stars too. They've got thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews because they're simply the best. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today or visit them online at visioncomputers.com, because when it comes to your security, you can't afford to wait. Vision will take care of you. Tell them I sent you. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com.
News is temporary, but your financial plan shouldn't be. I'm Wes Moss, and at Capital Investment Advisors, we're focused on helping retirees invest for income. This means building and managing a portfolio that delivers a steady stream of income, regardless of the scary headlines of the day. If you're ready to shift your focus from the headlines to your core pursuits in retirement, reach out to our team at yourwealth.com. That's YOUR wealth.com.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Better news in Sandy Springs. The crash on Georgia 400 southbound, or northbound, I should say, but south of Northridge, exit 6, heading northbound toward Roswell. It has cleared. All lanes are back open, so those delays are starting to improve coming up from 285. Blocked all lanes in Norcross, 85 southbound past Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. Got a stall off to the right there. And some brake lights, 285 south, the interloop into Cab, leaving Clarkston from the Stone Mountain Freeway, Highway 78 down toward I-20. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Scattered rain showers around Metro Atlanta right now. 76 in Smyrna, 81 in Conyers, 74 in Douglasville. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
In a see I told you so moment, yesterday I did an entire monologue on how the press corps wouldn't be able to do anything other than view the conclave coming up to choose a new pope in terms of Democrats versus Republicans, left versus right. Here's the headline in the Financial Times. The MAGA Catholics trying to take back control of the church. Told you so. They can't help themselves. 877-973-7425. Let me go to Oklahoma City. Mike is up next. Welcome to the show, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You?
Doing great.
Well, I don't know if I got a statement, question, or what, but I am just totally confused on the deportation stuff, because I feel like if they're here illegally, they don't have no rights, you know, as far as going back to their country where they come from. I just don't get that.
Okay, so let's break this one down. A due process hearing does not necessarily mean that you got to go to court, you got to have a whole trial, there's got to be a jury, anything like that. What the Constitution requires, what the law requires, is that we make sure that we know this person entered the country illegally and it is the right person. That's the due process hearing that the illegal aliens need to have, at least by law. Now, you're right that there are some progressive judges say, no, they need more individual hearings. But really, all you got to do for an illegal alien, and this, by the way, this was how Barack Obama was able to remove 5.2 million illegal aliens during his 8 years. Barack Obama deported 5.2 million illegal aliens in 4 years, and all they did was say, this is Jose whoever, and we document he crossed the border without permission on this date. We verified his identity. Okay, away he goes. That's it. They got rid of 5.2 million of them doing that. They didn't have to go to court. They didn't have to do a trial. They didn't have to do any of that. That's all the Trump administration needs to do by law. What now is happening is there are progressive judges who say, no, it's got to be way more than that. Look what you did to Abrego Garcia. And that's slowed the whole process down. They're going to go to the Supreme Court. And I think the Supreme Court's going to do the same thing, because all you got to do is make sure you certify this is the right person. They crossed the border. Here's Joe Biden's administration's record of when they crossed the border. Round them up and send them back. You do not have to do a one-for-one hearing. But yes, the Constitution of the United States, when someone comes into the United States, is granted certain rights by virtue of being here. And those rights have been extended to illegal aliens. If we want to change that, Congress can change that. But Congress is not going to change that. But what the courts have done is simplified the process. Just make sure you got the right guy. That's it. Make sure you got the right guy. The problem here, again, and I can't emphasize this enough, as much as it makes some of you mad, can't emphasize it enough, it's God's honest truth. The Trump administration made an administrative error with Abrego Garcia. They admitted they made an administrative error. They have refused to fix the error. They've rubbed the court's nose in the fact they're not going to fix the error. And so now the courts are like, well, we're going to make your life really difficult because of it. You can say that's petty by the courts. I would tend to agree, but don't say they can't do it. They are. And all Trump had to do is bring Abrego Garcia back instead of rubbing the court's nose in their face, rubbing their nose in it. Don't be mad at me for telling you the truth. That's what's going on here. They said in court, administrative error. We know the court said don't send this guy to El Salvador. We did anyway. Oops, our bad. You can't go get him, and we're not going to. And the court said, well, then we're going to slow this gravy train down, buddy. And that's exactly what they've done. I warned you when it happened, this was going to happen. You could be mad at me for telling you I told you so, but I told you this was going to happen. If they rubbed the court's nose in this, the courts were going to slow the train down. The courts have done it. And you can say, I've got a buddy of mine who insists the courts caused this problem, the courts have done this. And yes, the even having to do this whole due process sort of thing, yes. But the process was fast for Obama. It was even fast during the first Trump term. And it's not fast now. And it's not fast now not because the courts have had a change of heart, but because Trump's team made an administrative mistake and then rubbed the court's nose in it. And the courts are in payback mode. And you can say that's wrong, and I would say that's wrong, but it's the courts, and they get to do it. So they should have brought Abrego Garcia back and then promptly deported him somewhere else. They had the power to do it. That's the thing that just hurts my head on how stupid it was that they did it this way, because they were given permission to deport the guy, just not to El Salvador. And instead, they sent him to El Salvador to a containment facility, not even just back to the country. They put him in a lockup facility down there. They said, our bad, but we're not going to go get him back. You can't make us. Had they not done that, I mean, and none of the hardcore MAGA supporters want to admit that that's what's going on here. It is so obvious to every outside observer that, yes, they made an error. They admitted the error. Had they fixed the error, they wouldn't be in the mess they're in now. But God forbid we point out their problems. Now, back to the phones. Lisa, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, good. I wanted to piggyback off of your theme of giving power back to the people, specifically the parents. Mm-hmm. And that's why we needed school choice. And Trump, I noticed a few months ago, signed an executive order about school choice, but I'm not clear as to what exactly the administration is actually going to do to further what states have already done or go around what states refuse to do.
Okay. So what the president is doing is essentially trying to incentivize states and local governments to implement school choice. The federal government can't force the government to implement school choice. It's a state level issue. What he can do, however, is he can provide incentives through the Department of Education, through the essentially granting of money to states that do school choice, and make it easier for states with school choice to get access to funding that other states can't. The school choice issue is a state level issue. And Lisa, what state are you calling from?
I'm calling from Georgia, and I noticed we had a partial school choice, but it was much more scaled down than what I thought it should have been, which is probably why they're not seeing the numbers, because parents like me, I'm not in the lower 25th percentile of schools, but I'm not too keen on the public schools due to the things that are going on, just like the previous caller, several calls said back that, I'm not for teaching my kids something that's opposed to what I believe. So y'all can have it. Give me my voucher. I'm going over here.
Well, I hope that Republicans in the state of Georgia listen to you, because it's the rural Republicans who have obstructed school choice in Georgia. They're the ones where the local school systems are large employers in their rural counties, and they're scared of the local school superintendents and teachers, and they're the ones blocking school choice. And yeah, I think that Georgia needs to expand it. Brian Kemp, the governor, supports expanding it. The Senate Republicans support expanding it. But it's the House Republicans in those rural areas that have joined with Democrats to block it. And in so many other states now they've expanded it. Texas just did. Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida's expanding it even more, and they were the leader on it. You got a massive number, like 20 states have now expanded universal school choice, other than Georgia, because the Georgia Republicans are killing it. And frankly, Lisa, I suspect that a lot of non-white moms would be voting Republican if the Republicans in the state would expand school choice universally. And I say that not because it's my guess, but it happened in Florida. It has happened in Tennessee. It has happened in Indiana. It has happened in Louisiana, where non-white parents have been voting more Republican because the Republicans gave them access to better schools. It's absurd, absolutely absurd that we would not do this otherwise. But there you have it. It's just a dumb thing. By the way, I want to play you some audio here. This is a conversation from CNBC. Philip put in the stack of stuff, and I thought it was a very interesting conversation because there's some data. This is Andrew Ross Sorkin, who you got to remember. Andrew Ross Sorkin is a progressive. He is with the progressives. He likes the progressives. He's inside the bubble. He shows up at all the gatherings. He's got to deal with the New York Times. He's in the bubble, and he has begun to believe the left's talking points.
Are in the White House versus last time, where it was Gary Cohn and some others who were.
Well, the whole, the populists, it's populists versus more classic conservatives, and we'll see who wins out. I think, I'm not for nothing, but. Aren't you glad Besson's there?
I'm very glad.
That's what I think. But Scott's there, and and he seems he's so calm, and like when we talk to him,
so well.
and I think he might be like that when there's chaos around him, and he's like, hey, this is just, and when push comes to shove, I don't know what actually happens. Yeah. I'm just worried it's going to be so long. I think we're talking about 2020, 2029 or something, 2028.
It has not yet been 100 days.
You're not going to make it.
I was thinking the idea that it has not been.
I said the country's going to be fine, but I mean, and I'm back to the counterfactual. Most Trump supporters at this point, even if they're disillusioned, it would take probably World War III to wish that Kamala Harris had won that election.
I think that one of your fans
and Trump supporters wrote on Twitter yesterday to you that an auto pen would have been better.
No, but I don't.
So
I don't
let's
think that's.
just understand.
I don't think
how
that's
people
true.
Really,
well,
that
that's
was
what
a remark about.
Well, did you like the 4 years of auto pen? Did you like the 11?
Yeah, actually, the markets did. The economy did. Yes, actually.
No one's wages went up, and you had 11 million illegal aliens come into this country.
Yep.
I know that's okay with you, but you're worried about this one going back. The rule of law was.
I am worried about the rule of law.
Yeah, but not for 11 million. Not for. They totally ignored the rule of law coming here. Now you're talking about it again. So it's back to whataboutism, and so 11 million is fine. Well, when did you talk about the rule? When did you talk about the rule of law when the border was open?
Constantly.
Okay.
We got a lot to get through this.
Okay, listen, Andrew Russell, because one guy tweeted, Joe Kernan, that an auto pin would be better when they got suddenly, the Trump supporters must be ready to turn on Trump. Y'all, I do a conservative talk radio show. I have people call the program who are Trump supporters, who say they're Trump supporters, who are frustrated with Trump. I haven't gotten a single one yet to call and say, I really should have voted for Kamala Harris instead. Oh, there are lots of people out there who are Trump supporters who are upset about the tariffs, who don't like what's happening right now. Not a single one of them that I have encountered on this radio program is willing to say, yeah, I guess we should have gone with Kamala Harris. Not a single one of them. But in the bubbles of Washington and New York, in the bubbles of the media, all those Trump supporters, they've got to regret voting for. Look at their 401ks. I know a lot of them who are upset right now. I know a lot of them who wish he would get off the tariffs. I know a lot of them who are frustrated with him. I don't know a single person who voted for Donald Trump who really wishes they'd voted for Kamala Harris. There's a difference between being upset with your guy and wishing the other person had been put in office. The fact that the left can't understand that it's that binary for them, these are the same people who have decided that the entire conclave to elect the Pope is a MAGA versus the world moment. You can't take that sort of analysis seriously. By the way, the data doesn't back it up. It's independent voters who are upset with Trump and have turned against him, but even the independent voters would have voted for him again. I mean, the actual data from Harry Hinton and CNN is 1.3% of Trump supporters wish that they had voted for Kamala Harris. And guess what? 1% of Kamala Harris voters wishes they had voted for Donald Trump. It neutralizes each other out. So no, that's not reality. Now, reality is Vision Computer can build you a great computer, and they, my friends, can service your computers and give you just incredible world-class tech support. All you got to do is go to visioncomputers.com or call them at 404-COMPUTE anywhere nationwide. They can, if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, they can build you a computer and get it to you. They can be your tech support. So you get a special number. When you've ordered from Vision Computers, you get a number and you call them 15 seconds or less. You get the answer. There's no phone tree hell or no habla español, press 5, press 9, press 8. They answer the phone. And you say, hey, I saved a file on my computer. I can't figure out where it is. They can remote in and help you. They can fix your email. They can help you with your printer. They can do it all. Now, let's just say you don't need a new computer, but you need the tech support. They can do that free as well, just $179 a year per computer. So they can do it for your whole office. So you're a small business owner, and you're tired of taking time out of your day to fix your employees' computers, and you can't afford somebody at $100,000 a year to be your internal IT guy because you're a small business. Vision can do it for you, and every employee in the company gets that special number. Saves you money, saves you time. It makes your employees good at their job, not at their computers. And you don't have to be tech support. All you have to do is call them at 404-COMPUTE. They can take care of it. Tell them Eric sent you. You're going to save even more money. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
251 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center, getting messy out on the roadways with rain moving around Metro Atlanta. We got a crash on the downtown connector right now, 7585 southbound University Avenue, exit 244. They're about to shut down all lanes to try to get this out of the HOV lane. That's just adding to delays already back toward I-20. Northbound, you're slow as well from University Avenue, trying to get up past Peachtree, Pine Street. In DeKalb County, we've had a few crashes, 285 both north and southbound, anywhere between La Vista Road and Highway 78. Most of those, or all of those actually, have been pushed off to the shoulder, but lingering delays between Tucker and Clarkston. Traffic brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
Online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
Are you serious?
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every weekday.
OMG! Oh my goodness!
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 5.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz
On 95.5 WSB.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
Guys, if you're having ED or performance issues and Viagra and Cialis haven't worked, you need to come see Choice Men's Health. Give us a call or visit us online at choicemenshealth.com. Get your love life back and choose Choice Men's Health.
This is Scott Slade. Let's talk about how to improve your chances of living a longer, healthier life. For me, it's preventive medicine. My doctor saw one funky number in my lab work that eventually led to a diagnosis early enough so I still had options. You just got to have a medical professional looking at you every so often, especially when we're talking about heart disease, the nation's #1 killer. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation, like flying in an airplane. They can detect calcium levels in your arteries and most cancers at the earliest stage. And virtual imaging can scan your brain to see if you're in danger of a tumor, stroke, or even dementia. So don't put this off, especially with this offer for virtual imaging. For a limited time, they're offering you and your spouse a free heart scan. Yes, free with a few minimum requirements. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Hi, it's Tim Andrews for My Roofer FGA Roofing. Are you considering a new roof but not sure when you'll be able to get it in the budget? FGA Roofing is offering a 000 offer this month. 0 down payment, 0 interest for 12 months, and 0 monthly payments. Search FGA Roofing for a free quote today.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Ow.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, well, it's too late for you to call in because we're at the end of the show. Now, housekeeping note for you guys. I'm not going to be here tomorrow and Friday. I was going to be here tomorrow, but my flight got changed. They moved me to an earlier flight, and I thought, I could do half the show and then pass it off to a guest host. And it's like, nah, that doesn't seem fair to the guest host or to you. And there's breaking news, so I didn't want to pre-record it and make it sound live because the Zelensky deal might be signed at the White House tomorrow. Allegedly, it's going to happen at the White House tomorrow. So I just you know what? I'm just going to give up. I'm gonna be on an airplane tomorrow, and then off on Friday. It is a long-planned golf trip with 3 friends of mine going out west. I am a terrible golfer, but I decided I've never gone anywhere in my life outside my state to play golf. Never have I taken a golf trip with friends. And I decided this is the year that I'm going to start doing that because I got to tell you, I've been bit by the golf bug. I'm not good, but I'm getting more comfortable playing with strangers who I've met. And now I want to upgrade my golf club, too. Like, not my golf clubs, but where I play golf, having played at the Fancy Country Club, but they're too expensive. So I won't be here. Now, Harvard has released a poll of Gen Z parents. We have a problem with your kids. Just 48% of young Americans say having kids is important, the lowest ranking among sick life goals ever measured by Harvard, and a generational shift away from traditional family formation. Here's the other problem. 70% of Gen Z Democrats say their partner must align with them politically. 70%. For perspective, only 48% of Republican Gen Zers say that, and only 39% of independents say that. Less than half of young Americans feel a sense of community, and just 17% say they're deeply connected to one. 1 in 3 feel no strong sense of belonging, or they're still searching for their belonging. This is what happens in a digital age. When the algorithm is so influential on you, you want people who come up in your algorithm. You don't want to branch out to others. This is not a good situation, folks. Not a good situation, particularly for young Democrats who are convinced they must have someone. Now, interestingly enough, there are more Republican and independents than there are young Democrats. And those are going to be the loneliest souls out there. And you know what happens over time when something like this goes on is they then want to realign governmental priorities as well for themselves. This is just not a good situation. It genuinely is not good that so many Gen Zers feel isolated, not a sense of community. They only want to be around people who think like themselves. This is the online coming offline. It is their friends online where they've built a community that looks and sounds just like them. It's a dangerous thing for society that we're headed that way. Thankfully, the Republican independents are the less likely to do it.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
I've heard so many complaints from people using credit card travel portals. And if you're familiar with this, the big 3 have these, which are American Express, Chase, and Capital One. There are some other credit cards that do as well. And they tell you book through their portal and you'll get this, that, or the other 10 times points. Or in some cases, like Capital One, you got to book through them at least once to pick up your $300 annual credit they offer. But I've found over and over again that bookings are more expensive almost always through these credit card travel portals than elsewhere. And then if there's a problem, a flight cancels, a problem happens when you get to a hotel or whatever, trying to get it solved with these credit card travel portals, nearly impossible. Be careful using them. I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Warnings from the CEOs of Walmart and Target about the impact of tariffs. They told President Trump in a private meeting this week his tariff policy could disrupt supply chains and potentially result in empty shelves at stores in the weeks to come. The CEO of Atlanta-based Home Depot was also at that meeting. President Trump says today even China wants to make a deal on tariffs.
We have a lot of action going on. We're making a lot of money, this country. This country is not going to be losing money on trade anymore.
Stocks are higher today as investors hope the U.S. and China trade tensions may soon be easing. An Atlanta-based railroad operator says tariffs are having a slightly positive impact on their business. Here's a report all new at 3 o'clock.
In a quarterly earnings call, Atlanta-based Norfolk Southern says it's maintaining its full-year guidance of 3% revenue growth, even with the market uncertainty.
All the indications that we see from our customer base are that, number one, they're seeing increasing value from the product that we're delivering, and number two, they're looking for ways to save money.
The company's Ed Elkin says some businesses are turning to rail as a cost-saving measure amid the tariffs. While it is a slower method to move product, it's typically cheaper than trucking. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
69 degrees in Atlanta. We have rain in the heart of Metro Atlanta right now. Will this trend continue for the rest of the week? Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. St. Peter's Basilica is packed as people pay their respects to Pope Francis, including Alex Lawrence of Atlanta.
There's kind of just a mixture of emotions. I mean, I'm anxious a lot walking in. It's such a surreal place.
Francis will lie in state for 3 days before Saturday's funeral that's expected to draw at least 250,000 people after the